To Road America. This picturesque facility is known for its long straights, high speeds, and spine-tingling action. And 1 year ago, it produced the closest finish in American Le Mans Series history.
It's now or never for Lucas Law, and it's now, and he's done it. He had to make it stick. Watch Guy with the power. Guy with the power.
The Mazda power of Lure moves over to block him.
Who's got the ponies? It's got to be the Mazda. The Mazda has beaten the Honda up the hill.
Wow.
And that is extraordinary.
Wow. They're still wide open, and what makes the championships even more difficult to claim is that all 5 classes are competing on the track at the same time. This season in the Prototype 1 class, the championship has been controlled by California-based Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, and they come to Wisconsin looking for a 5th straight win. For more on Muscle Milk, here is Kelly Stavist.
Well, the P1 championship has all been officially decided for Klaus Graf and Lucas Luhr. So, Klaus, the real question is, how do you guys continue to stay motivated? Where do you find that drive to come out here and put your best foot forward at each race?
Well, I mean, that's just in the genes of the team. I think, Muscle Milk Pickett Racing always pushes it to the limit, and we want to give it 100% no matter what the situation is. I think it's very important for us to stay sharp and stay mistake-free. And the best way to do that is stay focused and do your regular job.
A lot of people say this reminds them of a European-style track, Road America. How fun is it here?
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. I mean, it's always a good crowd here. A lot of people came out, and the track is fantastic. I mean, very good length, a lot of elevation changes, high-speed corners, slow-speed, technical. I mean, it's probably one of the best tracks in the world, I would say.
Thank you, Klaus.
Thank you.
Prototype 1 may be the fastest class on track, but the tightest competition today will come from the GT class, where manufacturer pride is on the line, as Porsche, Ferrari, Viper, and BMW are all chasing Corvette for the coveted GT Manufacturers Championship. Corvette holds a 10-point margin over BMW there, but while Chevrolet may lead in the Manufacturers Championship, it's a BMW Motorsport driver, Dirk Mueller, who leads in the Drivers' Championship. But with a slim 5-point advantage over defending GT class champions Oliver Gavin and Tommy Milner, Mueller and his team have little time to rest. But they can take solace in the fact that over the last several years, Road America has been a happy hunting ground for the BMW marque, as they have claimed class honors in 3 of the last 4 races here. For more on the GT battles, we'll start with Jamie Howe.
Well, BMW has certainly been able to rack up the wins here at Road America, and we've also seen them battling in the top of the GT category all season long. But in qualifying this weekend, the cars qualified 7th and 9th. Bill Oberlin, what went wrong?
Nothing went wrong. I mean, the car is perfect. BMW built an amazing Z4. It handles like it's on rails. We just knew when we got to these faster, longer circuits, we have these tiny restrictors, and hopefully the series sees it. We're just down on straight line speed. They just have to give us more restrictor, and we'll be competitive in the straight line, and then we can show them what we got.
It's literally going to be an uphill battle today.
Well, while BMW is very much in the thick of both the manufacturers and drivers championships here in GT, it's SRT Viper who comes in with 2 pole positions in a row. Jonathan Bomarito in the 93 Viper getting it done, but this team is still looking for its first win. How can you capitalize on pole position and get it done today?
Well, it's always important to qualify in the front. Hopefully we can stay out of the mayhem a little bit. It helps with that. The weather is something new for us that just rolled into town, so there's a lot going on here at Road America right now. It's going to be a great race, but you really just have to put the whole package together to win one of these. But Team SRT has been doing an amazing job, and we're ready for that first win.
Well, the battle's been between Corvette and BMW all season long. Corvette currently leading the manufacturers and the team championship. Jan Magnussen, you're starting the race second. What's going to be the key to surviving the race and getting those championship points?
Well, obviously the weather now plays a big part. To make the right decisions right now with tires and strategy will play a big part. I think once we get a little bit into the race, the driver who can make the right call and when to go to slicks at the right time probably will have a good advantage.
Thank you, Jan.
In Prototype 2, two teams go head-to-head. Points leading Scotsman Marino Franchitti and his Level 5 racing car owner Scott Tucker are in a pitched battle with Extreme Speed Motorsports teammates Scott Sharp and Guy Cosmo. 5 races into the season, Level 5 has one more victory than Extreme Speed, but Tucker and Franchitti are separated in points. So they've brought in 2 new drivers for the weekend, Simon Pagenaud and Ricardo Gonzalez, to not only help try to win, but with the proper strategy, the team may be able to get teammates sharing the championship lead again. Jamie is with our current P2 championship leader, Marino Franchitti.
Marino Franchitti is the sole points leader in the P2 category, but this weekend he's being moved from the 551 car to the 552 car. So Marino, switching cars, you've been in the last one for the last 2 races. What does this change for you today?
It really doesn't change much. You're still out there driving as hard as you can, but obviously the main focus is to get the 551 in the best position possible. But you can't really dictate what's going to happen in races. We just have to react as we go along, but we have to try and put some air between us and ESM. You know, with so few cars in the class, 4 cars all scoring points every weekend, we got to try and get a 1-2 finish for Level 5, and that has to be the aim today.
Today you're teamed with Ricardo Gonzalez. You're not teamed with your boss Scott Tucker for the first time all season. Can you beat him on the racetrack?
I think it's going to be really close. The car's been really tight all weekend. As I say, the 551 is the car that we're focusing on as a team, and that's the car that we want to win. Of course, if that car's out of the running, then that's what the 552 is here for as well. So it's great having the 2 cars. It's allowed us to come here without testing. ESM were testing early in the week, but we came here and it allowed us to get up to speed really quickly and obviously get the pole yesterday. So, I mean, the guys had a lot of work to do after warm-up this morning, but she's back in one piece and we're ready to go racing here.
And the P2 action has been great all season long. Can't wait to watch.
Guy Cosmo and teammate Scott Sharp have been swapping victories in their Extreme Speed Motorsport with the Level 5 car and Marino Franchitti. It seems like you guys have gone back and forth all season. You got edged out in qualifying, but do you have a car that will be good for this 2-hour and 45-minute race?
We absolutely do. You know, the ESM guys have really been busting it trying to figure out these HPDs. The cars are wonderful. We're loving them. And, performance-wise, we've always been a little bit off of those guys in qualifying. I think we're the closest we've ever been thus far. And we always have a good race car. So we're looking to get some Patron on that podium.
You've been talking about just how comfortable you are in this HPD now and how far it's come. What about in wet conditions? What do you know about this car in the rain?
We know absolutely nothing. We have never driven this car in the rain. We've never operated it in the rain. This is where we just have to rely on past experience and knowledge of this track and, do what we do. It's that voodoo driver stuff. We'll get in and figure it out instantaneously, hopefully, and do what we can.
Rain could be the big X factor today. Thanks, Guy.
I think the rain is going to be the great equalizer here because it's damp now, but the track is probably going to dry throughout the day because most of the rain has moved through, and that is going to make this competition even more intense throughout the 5 different classes of cars that will be competing here. You get a great view of the Road America circuit, 4 miles in length, and since 1955, it's been one of the best sports car venues in North America, if not the world. A lot of the European drivers talk about how much it reminds them of European circuits, and you can tell from the helicopter shot just how beautiful it is. A lot of elevation change here at Road America as well, and if we do get rain and more heavy rain, the water will certainly run down those hills, and that will make it interesting. The American Le Mans Series, a 10-race program, and we run on very different types of road courses. Long racetracks, short racetracks, street circuits, natural terrain road courses, you pretty much name it. We run their airport circuits like at Sebring. So that is one of the diverse natures of the American Le Mans Series that makes the competition so absolutely challenging. In GT Challenge, it couldn't be any tighter in the championship battle as reigning class champion Cooper McNeil and his teammate Jerome Bleekemolen are in a virtual tie with Flying Lizard Motorsports teammates Spencer Pompelli and Nelson Canache. And only 9 points back of that quartet sits Enrique Cisneros, who only 1 race ago was on top of the championship heat. And it only took 1 bit of contact at the last round to knock him back to 3rd. GT Challenge, it is an awesome competition. Kelly has more.
We haven't seen the Alex Job number 22 GTC Porsche qualify outside of the top 2 all season long, but today, Cooper McNeil, you'll start from the 6th position. What were you guys able to find after qualifying?
We had an issue with the motor to begin with. At the beginning of the weekend, it was a brand new motor, so you wouldn't think that we'd have a problem. But we got a new motor from Porsche, and I think she's running strong. This morning in the warm-up, she was handling well, so I think we should be good for the race.
Now you and Jerome, you're tied for the championship with Flying Lizard Motorsports, but you do have more wins. So if it were to end right now, you would win the championship, but you have to be safe. How aggressive can you be on a track like this?
Well, we're going to be pretty aggressive because we're here to win, and the WeatherTech Porsche likes to win, and that's what we like to do. But with the championship in mind, we're going to drive smart and hopefully pretty safe, especially with it being wet today. But I think the championship, there's a lot of racing left to do in the season, so it's still pretty undecided, but I think we're going to try our best and hopefully get another win here.
Well, if the action's anything like it has been, it's going to be fun to watch.
Spencer Pumpelly and his teammate Nelson Canache Jr. are tied for the points lead in GTC. And Spencer, you put it on pole here at Road America. Rain could be a factor. Can that play to your advantage or disadvantage?
Well, as good as we were in the dry, we wouldn't be upset if nothing changed. But I'm pretty confident in the guys. Nelson's obviously a great driver. He's good in the wet, so he says. We haven't seen it this year, but he tells me no problem, we'll be good. And I trust him completely. Car's good, team's great, so we'll be ready for anything. But as tight as it is in GTC, it's really tough to get an advantage. We'll see how it works.
All right, they're in that points chase with the number 22 Alex Job Racing Porsche.
Well, for more than half a century, sports car fans have come to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin to follow their motorsports passion. And since 1955, some of the sports car's greatest drivers have taken on the challenge of this 4-mile, 14-turn circuit. Extreme Speed Motorsports driver Guy Cosmo gives us a closer look in our ESM track description.
I'm Guy Cosmo from Extreme Speed Motorsports, and we are at Road America. 4 miles of fun, the longest course that we visit in the American Le Mans Series. Coming down the front stretch, we have a huge passing opportunity as we approach turn 1. High-speed corner with tons of excitement every lap. 4th gear corner for most cars, long sweeping right-hander, and this is just the beginning. Here we are at the carousel. We spend more time turning through this corner than any other corner we go to anywhere. We're accelerating the whole way through, hugging the inside. The road drops away a little bit, making it difficult to keep the car on line. Very tiny adjustment, but if you do it right, you are nearly flat out the entire way. We have been flat out all the way down this back straight, and now we are approaching Canada Corner. Huge brake zone, the first time we're hitting the brake since turn 8. This corner really encourages drivers to try a dive bomb pass to the inside at the last second. And as you can tell by all of these tire marks, it doesn't always work. If you get it right, however, you are climbing your way through turns 13 and 14 and finishing your lap at Road America.
We'll take a quick break, and then Greg Kramer and Jeremy Shaw will join us on ALMS.com. And for those of you here in the U.S., you can also join us live as we bring you flag-to-flag coverage on ABC.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride. Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Now relax. Let the qi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. Easy acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Power is hypnotic. We're mesmerized by it, spellbound by it. In its raw form, it is just unharnessed energy, but in the hands of those who understand it, revere it, and know how to bridle it, it can become one of the strongest gravitational forces in the whole universe. So why are we drawn to power? Because we can't stop it.
We're delighted you can join us at Elkhart Lakes Road America in rural Wisconsin. We're about an hour or so north of Milwaukee, and as you can see, there's remnants of clouds around here. So we've had some rain over the last couple of hours, but there's been a huge crowd here all weekend. I think it's dampened some of the enthusiasm perhaps, but not for this race that lies ahead of us. And we've talked about already the fact that the rain can be a big equalizer. It can really shuffle the order around, and for a couple of teams, the rain is really good news. In particular, I think we talked about the fantastic GT battle that is going to unfold this afternoon. Well, the Falcon Tires team, that Porsche number 17 car, they've been struggling in the dry all weekend long. Brian Sellers and Wolf Henser, they've been had too much oversteer on that car. The back end wants to come around all the time. Just been a really nightmare qualifying and practice for them. But the Falcon Tires are generally stellar in the rain. We saw that a couple of years ago at Mid-Ohio, so they are delighted with this rain. The other team that benefits with these changing conditions is a number 18 car in PC. That's the Performance Tech Motorsports team, Tristan Nunez and Charlie Shears. Tristan Nunez put that car third on the grid, a tremendous run by him, and he is going to be a contender this afternoon. But the big battle is going to be in GT, and we've talked about it already. BMW and a Corvette, they're locked in battle all the way along, and Kelly Stavers has more on this BMW battle.
Well, you'd think that BMW would be full of confidence today. After all, they've won this race 3 of the last 4 years. Dirk Mueller leads the Drivers' Championship, and the team is still well within reach of that Manufacturer's title as well. But after qualifying 7th and 9th in GT, that's certainly not the case. The team says they lack that straight line speed that is so crucial here at Road America. And Bill Oberlin, who pilots the 55 BMW, told me there's definitely added pressure to perform here because of the team's rich history, but he said realistically a top 3 would be a success. So the team is relying on some pit strategy and a little bit of luck to get a win here today.
Well, the BMWs might not have qualified particularly well, but they've certainly been strong, and effectively the Jonathan Bomarito Viper, that was 8/10 clear of the pack in qualifying. A sensational lap by Jonathan Bomarito in that car number 93, the SRT Viper, but the rest of the field in GT covered by about the same sort of a margin, 3/4 of a second. So that is just going to be a fantastic battle. The Michelin Green X Challenge is something we're going to be watching this afternoon, as ever in the American Le Mans Series. Clean and fast and efficient, that is what brings the Michelin Green X Challenge. Clean, greenhouse gas emissions, and the amount of fuel used during the race. Fast, well, that's the car's average race speed, that's pretty straightforward. Efficiency, well, the amount of energy that is consumed by each car divided by its mass, getting the most speed from the least amount of fuel used. So just like in golf, it's the lowest score wins, and that is what we'll be looking for as the Michelin Green X Challenge evolves within the American Le Mans Series and its 5 classes of competition this afternoon at Road America. This is just one of the best tracks in not only North America, but as we heard Klaus Graf say a little while ago, in the whole of the world. Everybody enjoys coming to Road America. There's long straightaways here. The cars reach maximum velocity 3 times on this lap. On the main front straightaway, the big long uphill drag to the start-finish line, down the back straightaway towards turn 5, and also through Kettle Bottoms on the run to Canada Corner.
Road America is not only the longest racetrack that we visit, but they also have the longest pit lane, and that makes pit strategy even more crucial. You see over my shoulder here, these pylons. That is when the driver enters pit lane and they have to hit the pit speed limiter. That takes them down to 60 kilometers per hour, which is about 36 miles per hour, which means that it's going to be about 40 seconds to get from pit in to pit out. That doesn't include stopping on the pit. So any time spent on pit lane is going to be extra crucial today. Everybody's got to stop. It's the extra stops that get you in trouble.
So the field is forming up, and Greg Creamer has joined us from the starting field. You've been a busy boy, Greg, but we're ready for the green flag.
Oh, and look at the moisture already coming off the back of these cars, and we're green, and a huge jump by Lucas Luhr, as you would anticipate. Let's see what Chris McMurray can do in that Dyson car as he comes up, and watch down to the inside, the Delta Wing. Everybody right now, probably more than anything, obviously trying to make up positions, but also worried about visibility, Jeremy.
Yeah, what a great start that was by Catherine Legg in the Delta Wing, really pushing the Dyson racing car of Chris McMurray. And Catherine Legg, for her, you know, they've done some testing in that car, but not a lot of time in the wet. And for Catherine here, she had that huge crash here in a champ car back in 2006. But what a lap she put together yesterday in qualifying. Look at her now, challenging for second place.
She's going for second and the battle for the lead in P2, and it has gone to the 0-1. Scott Sharp, and problems. A BMW off. I think that might be our pole-sitting car in LMP Challenge, the Composite Resources entry of John Bennett. That is at the exit of turn 3. Couple of cars getting together, Jeremy, or maybe just spinning in evasive. So huge story right there. Obviously, John Bennett and the car that we saw, one of the BMWs, I believe it was, the white 56 involved as well. Bennett has it gathered up again. So the pole sitter in class, Colin Brown doing that qualifying, finds himself at the back and having to redo the whole program here. We may have a replay coming up for you, folks. Let's take a look here. And this is through the exit of 3.
Look how busy it is there in the middle of the field. And, John Bennett just got on the gas a little bit early. And I think maybe the 52 car got into the back of the 48 as well. The BMW spins around. But, I don't think there was any significant contact, incredibly, amongst any of the cars. That's amazing. But it was John Bennett there that got on the power just a little bit early. It's so easy to do that. You get it on the curve, coming out of turn 3, and around she went.
Now, listen here. We're on board with the BMW. Oh, you heard that. He lifted, then went back to the throttle again, and it just broke loose on him and went around. And we also had the number 48 Chopard watches Porsche. Watch that. No contact that we can see here. There goes Bennett. Then there goes the Paul Miller Porsche, and that's what got the BMW off track and spinning.
That's right. The BMW just had to jink to its right there to avoid that. That was Bill Oberlin, number 55 car. He had to go off to the right. Well, that's onto the wet grass. So after that, there's no control at all. Around goes Bill, but again, no harm, no foul. He's able to continue.
Well, Bill, that's an interesting start to his 500th professional race, spinning around here. And look at this battle continue for second in P1. Catherine Legg down to the inside. In a little bit deep, floats out, uses the exit, but she got the pass made, gets around McMurray. And McMurray led at the start-finish line, but Catherine Legg able to get him down into turn 1. And look at Now, folks, if you're watching this and you're seeing, well, they're not necessarily, are they missing apexes? Are they? No. The wet line often is about 6 to 8 feet off of the normal line where you've got all that tire rubber down, and you want to look for the grippy stuff. And Catherine Legg has found the rain line and is exploring it beautifully.
I tell you what, Catherine Legg is a race car driver. She is really, really good. She won some Atlantic races. She stepped up into the champ cars, was doing a pretty respectable job too, and she had that huge crash here, unfazed at all. It's a great qualifying lap she put together yesterday after very few laps around here in a dry. There she is coming through turn 6 now, down the hurry down section of the track towards turn 7, and considering the minimal track time she's had, I think she's doing a fabulous job. But look at behind her here comes Scott Sharp in the best place of the 2 Extreme Speed Motorsports P2 cars. That is the 0-1. Scott Sharp, massive amount of experience, of course, in prototype cars. He's looking to exploit that, and once again it's the ESM car just ahead of the first of the level 5 cars. That is Ricardo Gonzalez in the 552 trying to make amends for a crash this morning on his out lap in the warm-up session, Greg.
And Scott Sharp also has, as he's going after that second overall spot, through the kink, close quarters racing there. But Scott Sharp, an immense amount of experience here He has 2 Trans Am wins back in the heyday in 91 and 93. He has been racing at Road America for a long time, and he knows this track. And of course, that Delta Wing, everybody was talking about, it should be well suited here. Doesn't have those drag-inducing wings out there, but produces great downforce through underbody tunnels, and it is working impressively well here. And Catherine Legg is extracting everything from it.
I think that's the first time this car has run on its wet tires, and
that's a good point.
She looks a super line there, just off the apex. Really tiny lines for Catherine Legg there, and now she can use that small aerodynamic hole that the car punches through the air to really maximize its straight line speed. We knew that car was going to be fast here this weekend, but Catherine really is doing a nice job. Scott Sharp in third place overall, first in P2, just ahead of Ricardo Gonzalez in the 5.52. Then Chris McMurray in the P1 car, the Lola Mazda car number 16 for Dyson Racing, slipped back into the 5th place, ahead of Scott Tucker in the 2nd of the level 5 cars, Ned Brown in the 2nd of the ESM cars in 7th place.
Be interesting to see an onboard shot at some point from that number 16, the Lola Coupe, because one of the issues you can fight with a closed cockpit car in these conditions where it's raining, which means there's a lot of inherent moisture in the air, is fogging. If you're an open cockpit car, it's just blowing it right off of your visor and the like, but maybe he's struggling with a little bit of some visibility issues. Jonathan Bomarito, folks, GT pole sitter. Where is he running? Try 8th overall. He is in front of every one of the LMP Challenge cars out there. And Tristan Nunez, the start of the race, Jeremy.
Well, yeah, he was lucky because of the wet conditions. He set the 3rd fastest time in qualifying yesterday, but he had a spin on his final lap when he was going for the pole. And actually the data showed he might have had that pole if he'd have made it around 2 more corners. If sads and buts, he didn't. He spun the car, flat spotted all the tires, so they had to change the tires coming into the race. Well, the rule are you have to start the race on the same tires in which you qualified. So if you change more than one tire, then you have to go to the back of the grid. Well, because the conditions are different, everybody who's starting on wet tires, that rule is kind of null and void. So he was able to take his position 3rd on the grid in PC. But it's still been a great first lap for Tristan Nunez. He's already got a big lead over the rest of the contenders in the PC class by Continental tires.
Yeah, I mean, basically he sits 9th overall right now, 2nd in the class. Duncan Endy is 16th overall. So Tristan Nunez, just a superb opening lap, and now an opening couple laps.
The last lap, Randy pulled out 8 seconds over Duncan Endy, who's the 2nd in the class. And Duncan has been stellar the last couple of races. He lapped the field at Lime Rock Park, handed over to Bruno Junqueira, who brought it home, and he was looking to did pretty much exactly the same thing at Canadian Tire Motorsport a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, they had a starter motor issue in the pit lane, and that cost them a lot of time, and they slipped back in the order. But Duncan Ender, he's been absolutely superb. But Tristan Nunez now in that number 18 car, wow.
Yeah, just some amazing stuff we're seeing unfold here right now. The great early run by the Delta Wing in the hands of Catherine Legg. The battle in P2 with Scott Sharp and Gonzalez. And the run for Jonathan Bomarito, the margin that he has right now. And look who sits 2nd in class, qualified, I think, 6th, and came up into, qualified 5th. The Team Viper now sits 2nd in class. So Dominic Farnbacher driving a brilliant opening couple of laps as well to move smartly up the order, and Matteo Magliucelli in the number 62 Risi Competizione Polsa Group Ferrari sits in 3rd. Magnussen in the number 3 Corvette 4th, and Oberlin, spin and all, sits in 5th. So that's pretty impressive.
Wow, how does he manage that? That is incredible. I don't know whether any other spinners going on around somewhere else we didn't see. I don't know, but to be up in the 5th place for Bill, that is pretty impressive.
Actually, I think it was the white BMW is the 56. So I'm not sure that was Oberlin then. It may have been John Edwards having the spin. Watching here on ALMS.com, if you're joining us, here's a look at our prototype category explainers. And you can basically see the differences there. A lot of it is just basically horsepower versus weight, although in P2, production engine in prototype challenge, it is a spec class. In GT, again, in the GT category, pretty wide open in terms of manufacturer and tire involvement. In the GT Challenge class, it's a spec series. All Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars on the same Yokohama tires in Prototype Challenge. Everybody running on the Continental tire. And that is what makes those two classes, of course, so close, and some amazing talent. On board now with Jonathan Bomarito and that Pennzoil Ultra number 93 as he, from pole, leads away now. However, he has got the guy guy behind him, Dominic Farnbacher, his teammate in the other car, right there coming into view. Farnbacher is running laps some 3 seconds quicker these last 2 laps than Bo Marito did. But I'm wondering, did I see some damage in the back of Dominic's car? That right rear looks a bit wrinkled.
It does, doesn't
see
it?
If we can watch
tweaking on the right rear corner of the car. You can see the bodywork has been deranged there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a bit of an aerodynamic parachute here, but certainly Dominic Farnbacher has got good speed.
So some issues early, but not affecting the pace of the Vipers, Jamie.
Well, the crew on pit lane certainly getting ready for the car to come in. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but we talk about this being the 12-month anniversary of when they debuted the car. I was talking to team owner Bill Riley this morning, and he said, we parked our truck here, we looked at our setup sheets from last year, and we just kind of shook our heads and laughed at ourselves because they were so far off of what the car actually likes, but that all comes from experience, and that's what they have coming into the race today. They finally have that experience, so they're looking for at least a podium, if not their first victory today.
All right, Jamie, we've got an issue. It's the number 552, Ricardo Gonzalez, having a moment on track. And again, it looks like it may be, is that tricky exit of turn 3? There just might be a couple of spots there where the grip goes away. He's gathered it up again, but he's dropped well back. Sorry, I was talking over the radio. I should know better than that.
Well, it was hard to hear. He just came on there. But that's his second spin of the day. Let's have a look and see what happened here. He just got it in way too deep there. Through the gravel trap, runs around on the grass. He's trying to get it back on the racetrack, but just got a little bit greedy. Tried to carry too much speed across the grass. Lost control and it spins across the racetrack and onto the grass on the other side. But again, no contact. What happened there is he came up too close to his teammate there. He was it teammate? No, it must have been Scott Sharp.
It was Sharp he came up on, yeah.
He was coming right up on Scott Sharp in the braking area for turn 3. Got too close to him effectively.
Yeah, he's able to gather it up, and now it's trying to move back up, but he's lost a lot of track time, Jamie.
And he was just on the radio with the team, his engineer, Matt Greasley, asking, is everything okay with the car? Ricardo responded saying, yes, everything is perfect. And the engineer replied saying, it's okay, just put your head down. Let's get some laps under yourself, and we'll get some experience up there. Right now, Ricardo just trying to get back with the P2 class.
Heading into the kink out of the carousel, a lot of downforce on these cars will certainly make them quicker than the GT machines through this section of track. But I don't know if you noticed it, but as he was working up and through there, did you see Farnbacher? And he just touched one of the dive planes knocked off of that, I think, the left front corner of Farnbacher's car. So that car with the damage on the back, dive plane in the front, the balance of that thing's got to be a mess, and Farnbacher apparently doesn't care.
Well, maybe that balanced it out. He's got
knocked it right into spot,
right rear to left front, maybe that's equaled everything out. Here's a GTC class. Well, surprise here. A great battle going on here. It's Enrique Cisneros who's got himself up into the lead of the class in the early stages, but all over him now is Nelson Canachet in that number 45 Flying Lizard machine.
Yeah, Enrique, a good job. Ooh, look how close Canachet is, Nelson, as they head down into turn 8. He is there. He is pressuring. That's the pole car, and of course, the number 30 Momo car started outside of the front row in GT Challenge, and so these two guys, and of course, these are two of the 3 teams that are into a massive battle in the points. And look at that. I think the 91, apparently, all of that tinking and stuff, Farnbacher likes how that car is feeling right now. He's gone to the lead.
Curious line he took there, coming down the hill right over the right-hand side and then moved all the way across. I wonder.
You thinking, are they looking at damage?
Well, he moved over the wrong side, really, because he moved right over the right-hand side of the track, so it would have been hard for Jonathan Bommery to see it from there. But here's a good view from on board with Jonathan Bommery. We see another spinner. That is the TRG car, car number 66.
At turn 5, exit of 5 down there. And boy, that is at least he spun to the left of the track and off of the exit line over there, so if he can wait it out and he is able to keep that running, he'll be okay. I'm just wondering if the team didn't say to Jonathan, let him through for a minute and tell us what you see on the back of that car from up close. But apparently Dominic Farnbacher said, there's nothing to look at, I'm getting out of here, because he is flying right now. And again, there's that wide line. He's not missing apexes. That's where the grip is when the track is damp. And back to this battle in GT Challenge, and Enrique Cisneros still hanging on to it, but Nelson Canachet looking awfully strong, Jeremy.
He certainly is. This is a good battle for first and second in GTC, and they pulled out a little bit over Mike Headland in third place of the class. Actually pulled out quite a bit over Mike Headland, third in that class in the number 11 Hertz car, as Ben Keating is still stranded there on the inside of the exit at turn 5.
Yeah, it's not necessarily his first issue. Let's see if we can see this is a bit earlier. Oh, yeah. And just getting it wrong there and skating through the gravel down at the outside of turn 14. Last turn here. Now gathers it up and trying to get back on track. But apparently, yep, here it is. Full course caution has been called. The number 66 still stationary. That Port Lavaca Auto Group Racers, the Racers Group machine, Ben Keating, not exactly sure if something broke, and that's why he can't move, or if he just cannot get it restarted. And from his earlier off, Jeremy, you could see that grill absolutely loaded up with grass clippings, and so that not going to help things either. Even if he does get going, he's going to have to get to the pits to get those cleaned out, or he'll be overheating. Lucas Luhr leads overall and in P1. Sharp leads P2. Nunez in PC. GT, it is now, of course, moved up, and it is Dominic Farnbacher leading in that class, and Enrique Cisneros leads in GTC.
We all know what a horseless carriage is. Had to ride in the back of them with parents that could never give us a satisfactory answer to the question, are we almost there yet? And we long for the day when we could get portraits of our zit-ridden faces laminated onto plastic cards that would give us the authority to cruise up and down Main Street and burn a little rubber without any adult supervision. The average 16-year-old boy in America would rather have his own set of wheels than make out with the captain of the varsity cheerleader squad. How can we desire a machine more than another human being? Every driving machine has a body, but for a cube of metal to become a living, breathing entity worthy of our passion, it must have a soul. So it is up to the maker of the machine to breathe life into its creation. The machine cannot say it's greater than the maker, nor can the maker say the machine is beneath him, because through the process, the two have become one.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
We are back here at ALMS.com. Great to have you with us at Road America for the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron at Road America. 2 hour and 45-minute sixth round of the championship. Very, very early going at this point. 2 hours and 27 minutes or thereabouts to go. Green X Challenge, a championship within a championship in the prototype and GT divisions. And it's a very intricate formula, but basically it comes down to clean, fast, and efficient. Whoever goes the farthest does it with the greatest pace and does it with the least impact in terms of carbon emissions and least environmental impact in each of the categories wins the Green X Challenge at each event. And then, of course, there is a season championship as well, and it is considered very prestigious by the green leader in racing and all of the competitors here. Thanks to Michelin for supporting that championship.
Yes, indeed. It does add an extra element to the races here, no question about it. Track, it seems to be drying out somewhat here. Whether we're going to see people switch on to dry weather tyres soon, I'm not quite sure. I think particularly all the way down the kind of the bottom end of the racetrack, the lowest elevation here along Kettle Bottoms through the Kink and up to Canada Corner, and then up towards turn 13. That tends to stay wet for quite some time and can be very, very treacherous down there. So when the teams make their call, it's going to be tricky.
I think you're absolutely right. And, of course, it's the lowest part of the track, so that's the way the moisture flows, but also it's very tree-covered down in there, and so wind does not get down in there as openly as it does elsewhere, which, of course, helps dry the track. On board right now with your leader in the GT category, Dominic Farnbacher, the number 91 SRT Motorsports Viper. His pole qualifying teammate Jonathan Bomarito, second in the class, number 93 in the Pennzoil Ultra machine. Then Matteo Magliucelli in the number 62 machine. That is the Risi Competizione Ferrari. But we've been looking at lap times, and it looks like the best speed in that class prior to this caution was coming from the BMWs. So they may have something to throw at us yet. Lure leads overall over Catherine Legg. Scott Sharp leads in P2. And you go back GT, we talked about the two Vipers up front. In LMP Challenge, it is the number 18 Tristan Nunez, and in GT Challenge, it remains Enrique Cisneros. Now, in sports car racing, we often talk about closing speeds as it pertains to a prototype overtaking a slower car. More impressive is how the driver of the slower car manages the race in front and behind him. No one does that better than WeatherTech driver and GTC champion Cooper McNeil. So we asked him earlier, just how does that unfold?
The GTC class is special because it's a spec class, so all the cars are the same. We also happen to be the slowest class in the group. So it's really imperative that we check our mirrors as much as we can, because the closing speed differential between us and the LMP1 cars, P2s, even the GT cars is pretty substantial. I mean, I've been in situations where I've checked my mirrors on the long straight here at Road America, haven't seen anybody in sight, and I get down into turn 1 and all of a sudden a P1 car sticking his nose on the inside. So it's really important to be heads up and be aware while driving the car so we don't get in somebody else's way or get hit. It really keeps us GTC drivers on our toes, and it's what I like about the class the most.
Well, that's the nuance, isn't it, of multi-class racing, is that chess game that you play, whether you're the faster overtaker or the one being overtaken. All the parts move differently on this board, and it's high-speed chess, and it is fascinating. Right before we went to that feature, Jeremy, we saw some of the cars being told to go around the rest of the field. Let's explain what was unfolding there.
Yeah, that's the pass around. Once the field is packed up behind the safety car, then in order that nobody should be disadvantaged, if some in each of the classes, they make sure that everybody who is on the lead lap with the particular class leader is in line behind them. What happened here was the overall race leader had lapped about 4 or 5 or 6 of the GTC contenders. So effectively, if they'd stayed where they were, they would have been a lap down almost to the other contenders in GTC. So in order to be fair to the GTC guys, those contenders that were still on the same lap as a leader in GTC will wave past the pace car, safety car, and then come around to the back of the field, and then it will be all together again when we go back to green flag racing. So it's a little bit easier to explain at this stage in the race than later on, because we've had only a few laps in the books. But a little bit surprised to see nobody taking the opportunity to come into the pits here and just top off with fuel. I don't think anybody has done so.
Well, we might see it this time. So
we're going to go green this time.
Here's some visualization going on inside the cockpit of the BMW. That's the number 56, John Edwards, who is as a fill-in for Joey Hand, who's of course racing DTM as a factory BMW driver in Europe. John has been doing a phenomenal job filling in for him, and is doing so again this weekend.
Yeah, and the BMWs, in fact, were the fastest cars in GT before this caution period came out. Both of the BMWs, Bill Albin slightly faster than John Edwards, but both of those two were quicker than anybody else in GT in these conditions before we had that pace car interruption.
Well, we'll see if anybody does take it. We saw just some shots there. A lot of crew members looking down pit lane, looking over the wall, but we haven't had anybody come in yet. Of course, this is going to pack everything up, and maybe they just don't want to give up track position this early on this track. So that's interesting here. Again, going back a little bit, we had that great battle in GT Challenge. Enrique Cisneros in the number 30, Ken Shea in the number 45. Then was John Bennett trying to recover. And, you would have thought maybe Bennett may or somebody may have.
I think actually what they do, they make sure everybody is packed up before they open the pit. So my bad there. I think we will see now the pits are open this time around. The pits are closed until everybody is packed up behind the safety car. That is now that has now occurred. So I believe now that anybody will be allowed to make pit stops, and then shortly afterwards we will go back to green, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll see what unfolds here. There is the field, and again, gathered up behind the safety car, working through that very, very twisty section. It weaves. I guess twisty would imply that it's tight. This is flat out stuff down after the kink into Canada Corner, but it is by no means straight, and that makes it, even though it's just wide open flat out, it is still an amazingly close place that you've got to be dialing up and working with here and have a lot of commitment.
Flat out for the prototypes anyhow. For the GT cars, no, there's a bit of a lift there. Here's the drivers who've also raced yesterday, the Rolex Grand Am Series racing this weekend as well. You can see the list of drivers that took part in the Rolex race as well, and several of these guys also, Spencer Pumpelly and Bill Oberlin, certainly they competed also in the Continental Tire race that was yesterday afternoon as well. So some of these guys trying to get as many as 3 wins in a row. Well, I think the only guy who can get even 2 is Bill Oberlin. He won GT yesterday. Spencer Pumpelly, though, he's notable. He qualified on the pole for this race in GTC. He led the Continental Tire race until just a couple of laps from the end before he had to pit for fuel. We see several cars coming into pit lane,
including the leader in GT,
the lead Viper. And then in a Rolex race, Spencer Pumpelly also led until late on.
And now this is one of the concerns here, and this is one of the reasons that you're loath sometimes to make these pit stops. An incredibly long pit lane entrance. They're not even in to where their pit stalls are, and already, though, they've got to be on the rev limiter, they got to be going the speed limit. The thing is, you do it now because look how slow the cars are on the front straight, too. You don't lose anywhere near as much.
And Viper, Corvette, and BMW all split in their strategies. One car stays out, one car comes in.
And there's the 91, and they are taking a look at the back of that car.
And they are taking this time to actually do full service, but they don't need as much fuel because they did start full. They're going to get 4 new Michelin tires. You see the damage on the back of the car. They're going to address this. They've been going out to the wall and watching as the car goes by every single time. The problem is the car's wet. The tape doesn't stick to a wet car, so they have to dry it off. These are precious, precious seconds on pit lane. Kelly?
Both BMWs have come in. It was quick for the 55, and I couldn't get a look, but I suspect they kept their wet tires on. The 56, however, took their wets off and put slicks on. So talk about splitting strategy. They came in at the same time, but now it looks like BMW is taking a gamble with the weather.
Well, we also saw slicks going on the 91 Viper of Farnbacher. So everybody taking a look at these track conditions here and thinking it's not raining. It must be drying up just a little bit. They continue to try and get that bodywork in place. Now, down off the jacks goes Farnbacher, and he is heading out and back onto the track here. And bodywork taped up. Now, interesting to see what's going to unfold here with these guys that are on slicks. It is time to be awfully careful. Now, each weekend, the American Le Mans Series events, there are lots of other racing series that are running to entertain the crowds. One gives drivers a chance to experience prototype action at an entry level. That is the Mazda Prototype Lights category. Here's a look at some racing.
Race 1 of the doubleheader this weekend. It's round 9 of the championship. Sean Rahal in his number 14 leads from the pole, but then the 00 of Owen Kratz, 88 Dan Whalen get together. There's oil on the track in turn 1, and here is why. Gustavo Torres blows up, loses his engine. The car catches on fire. Good to see him out, but after a long caution, Scott Tucker spins while battling for 8th. Ryan Booth in the 18s, the leader. Sean Rahal 2nd. Daniel Goldberg in 3rd, but at the checkered flag, Ryan Booth holds on to take the victory. Here's a look at the results from both the races from the weekend. We'll take a break from Road America after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Deltran Battery Tender Battery Chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran Battery Tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran Battery Tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran Battery Tender, it's just a pretender.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT, Street and Racing Technology.
Welcome back, everybody, here at ALMS.com. Obviously, also making the call here for the fans at Road America for the America Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron at Road America, 6th round of the championship. And we've got some pretty fascinating events unfolding early. Unfortunately, a bit of an early caution that was called here, but it has packed the field up. That always makes restarts interesting. And one of the things, Jeremy, is we've got some great points battles in 4 of the 5 classes going on here that is going to keep our attention as well. Great aerial shots here, even with the weather. Still able to get the chopper up and get some of these beautiful shots. That's turn 7. And, from down low, that turn looks a little bit tighter. You watch it unfold, but you can see it is very much a sweeper. What it doesn't show is how that drops away down into turn 8, then the go-kart track, you can see people running over there on the right, then that left-hander at turn 8, then the legendary carousel, and leading into the even more legendary and daunting kink. This is a special place.
Yeah, it is a wonderful racetrack, and so many fantastic advantage points here for the fans. If you're an amateur photographer here, or a professional, come to that. There's some absolutely phenomenal places from which to take photos.
And we're on board with the number 4 Corvette. Engineering innovations from race car go to production models. Safety features are the same. Dan Binks, the Corvette crew chief, takes a look.
Here at Corvette Racing, safety is an important element to our race cars. Everything Chevy learns at the racetrack goes into their street car. Last race, one of our cars got in a situation that ended up causing major damage to our car. Luckily, our driver was able to walk away from a big crash unharmed, thanks to the safety mechanisms developed by our engineers. We were able to salvage the weekend. We worked through the night to get our car back on the track for the morning.
And that's absolutely true. That's one of the reasons you go racing, is for the trickle down, if you will, technology from the race car, because you put so much more stress, strain, abuse on components in a race car in one event than you can do in a year of testing or just driving on the road. And that's why it is an incredibly effective R&D vehicle for vehicles.
Yeah, that was a tremendous effort by Corvette Racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They estimated $200,000 worth of damage to that car, but came back and was running strongly. Finished 4th ultimately the following day.
Yeah, the crews, truly the unsung heroes, the hours they put in to get these guys in fast, safe cars, confident, inspired cars that a guy like Magus crawled right back in and put on a great drive. And we go back to green at Road America. And Lucas Luhr again immediately opening it up. Scott Sharp has Chris McMurray right behind him. And that's interesting. The Delta Wing didn't see it, but apparently Catherine Legg may have brought that car into the pits a bit early. And so it's interesting, all of the prototypes, save maybe that's why Catherine Legge went in. None of these other prototypes pitted. So they're still on the tires they started on, which one would suspect are going to be wets. And that's going to make this very interesting. And I didn't see the Delta Wing stop, but if they did throw on some dry tires and timed it right, that could be a great story unfolding here.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating now with the next few laps. I mean, it's still pretty damp in places, but as we can see here, coming down the hill into turn 5, it certainly looks pretty dry down there. So I think dry weather tires is probably the smart call here. And interesting that both of the BMWs should indeed come onto pit lane. They put one of them on wets and one of them on dry, so they're covered either way.
And it's interesting too, because if you're on wet tires, and you can see there's a lot of dry spots on this track, you've got to take care of those wets a little bit. And of course, Kelly, that's going to affect strategy down in pit lane.
Well, the Risi Ferrari team is a single car team, so they don't have the advantage of splitting cars. But what they did do is give it one more lap under that yellow. They didn't come into pit with all the other groups of cars. Instead, they gave it one more lap to make sure that weather wasn't coming back. The track had dried out enough that they decided to pull Matteo Malicelli in, so they are now back out on slicks, but they played it a bit safe.
I think there's an extra element to that as well, because we've got 2 hours and 10 minutes to go here. The Ferrari can do a bit over an hour on a tank of fuel. I think that extra pace, that extra lap behind the safety car, which is 4 minutes odd, could be crucial at the end of the day. If we go green to the end of the race from here, I think the Ferrari will probably be able to make it on just one more pit stop. Can the other guys? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. But I think there'll be more to that strategy than just waiting that extra lap, because certainly they've still got to work their way through the traffic here, though.
You bet they do. But I think you're right. At a 4-mile track, this place has always been a very fuel hungry track. And I think that was could have been very much the play. And you can see now the guys on slicks in spots, and that's that area we were talking about, from the kink down to the lowest part of the track, all the trees overhanging. Everybody on slicks have got to be very, very careful as to how they are unfolding and to take care of them and the like. So that's going to be interesting to see how all of that unfolds, Jeremy. And you can see Malicelli being real careful at this stage.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he knows he's not on probation. Well, actually, he is on probation, I think, isn't he, for causing that accident at Lime Rock Park last month. But he's certainly on probation with the team, I think, because he caused a massive amount of damage, not only on the Risi Competizione Ferrari, but also the number 22 WeatherTech Alex Job Racing Porsche, which also had to be reshelled after that. But the Risi team missed the last round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but they're coming back strongly this weekend.
He just saw a shot of the Delta Wing, so that Catherine did pit. And you've got to believe she went to the dries. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, we've been talking about all of the tire machinations here with weather, but that is also very much affected by tire allotment by the provider. And Jamie Howe takes a look at how that unfolds.
Well, each team is allowed to use 14 tires from the beginning of the first practice up until the start of the race. But it's up to the teams and their tire engineer to work with their manufacturer engineer and determine which tire is best for each particular racetrack. So Lauren Elkins works with Muscle Milk Pickett Racing. Lauren, how do you guys decide which tires you want to have available for each different track?
Yeah, we analyze lots of different characteristics of our tire. Most importantly, we look at tire wear from an outing as well as tire wear over an entire stint. We also want to make sure that the tires come into their peak pressures, peak temperatures, and that the tire is performing to peak performance for us to give us multiple laps of high speed with low lap times. So ultimately, the compound we choose gives us the longevity to double stint because in a pit stop, we always want to save time. And if we don't have to change tires, it saves us at least 10 seconds. So 10 seconds here at Road America is the difference between top of the podium and no podium at all.
And right now we see tire strategy really coming into play because you guys especially, you're still out on wet tires. How does the decision get made to switch to the slicks?
Yeah, we're definitely analyzing the track data right now. We're also monitoring the weather. We can calculate the weather within minutes of when it's going to rain. So we're really analyzing what the best move is for us in the strategy to keep our drivers happy, but keep those lap times up.
Clearly the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing strategy is working, the team going for their 5th consecutive overall victory this weekend.
Yeah, and perfect timing. You heard that howl right as Jamie started her second question. That was the car going by. And the one thing they have, clearly the fastest car in P1 right now by a bunch. they have the option to be conservative and not rush to make that change to slicks. Had they had 2-3 cars all over their rear deck, who knows. Big story developing here, always in the damp. The Falcon Tire Porsche runs incredibly well. Right here, Jeremy, that is the pass that puts Brian Sellers up into second.
Yeah, that car has been he qualified at the back of the pack in GT, but Brian Sellers steadily working his way forward here. And even in these sort of damp conditions that were almost dry in many parts of the racetrack, but those Falcon tires really, really working well. As you can see, coming down into turn 5, Brian Sellers puts the pressure on Jonathan Bomarito.
Yeah, in low grip situations, the Falcon Tire damp and low grip has always been exceptional, and that's what we're dealing with right now.
Tell you what, there, Bomarito, he defended to the inside coming off of turn 5, which is fine, but he also moved across again to take the racing line into turn 6. That's not what you're supposed to do. Once you commit to a line, you're supposed to stick to it. And Bomarito now has committed to the inside line into turn 8, and therefore Brian Sellers takes the opportunity to drive around the outside. Great move by Brian Sellers.
That was fantastic, and again, confidence in those tires and also knowing there's grip out there in the damp. That is the rain line, and you can make that work. And Brian Sellers, that is fantastic. A combination of a great driver in a car that is set up well and tires that work exceptionally well in these conditions.
Yeah, that was really nice driving there from Brian Sellers, and it's been a real struggle this weekend. The car's been oversteering all the way through practice and in qualifying. The rear end of the car just wants to overtake the front all the way around, but in these conditions, it's finally working the way they want it to, and Brian Sellers taking full advantage. But look at this. The Corvette under pressure puts the Viper under pressure now for second place.
Magnussen has got the bit between his teeth right now. He has reeled in and caught Bomarito and is really starting to apply pressure. Now you can see the torque as that Viper with that V10 able to just pull out. But Bomarito, we're getting reports that he might be pitting, and it looks like he is, and Max following him in. Magnussen and Bomarito, so close down, getting to that speed limit there. Oh, that's close stuff. So second and third from GT into the pit lane, and this is that interminably long run that we've been talking about. You're not even up to where the pit boxes start yet, Jeremy.
Yeah, we're just about at the crossover point thing, and I think now as to where slick tires or wet weather tires are the way to go. The race leaders in GT turning laps around about 2 minutes 20, 2 minutes 21. A little bit farther back, though, Dominic Farnbach in a number 91 Viper that was leading early on. He just turned at 2 minutes 18.
And they are in. Let's go to the pits.
Jonathan Bomarito in that 93 SRT Viper sits patiently as they fuel up his car, waiting to get those slicks on. We also saw the 55 BMW that made its pit stop and stayed on the wets. It came in certainly to put slick tires on. So we see these 4 Michelins going on. You can see that smooth black surface. Those are the racing slicks, Jamie.
Well, the Corvette, both the 3 and the 4 on pit road right now. The 3 came in first, the 4 was behind it, but they did stop underneath that caution, so the 3 stopped. Actually, it took a little bit longer on the fuel, but the top guys on the tires, an exceptional job. The 3 car beat the 4 car back out of pit lane.
Well, and that's intra-team competition. Those crew chiefs, Dan Binks and his crew right now, are going to be ecstatic, because with a longer stop, but doing the job on the tires even faster, and longer stop in terms of fuel, that was awesome.
It was, and for the Viper team there, Jonathan Bomarito lost 2 positions on the pit lane. He won't be happy with that, nor will the team.
No, and that's all part of the learning curve, isn't it? The Corvette boys have been at the top of their game for a decade or more, and the SRT team, well, this is obviously their first return visit to a track where they've had experience before, so it's still early days for the Viper program, but boy, do they have some great speed as we ride on board here with Mags down into turn 5. And this lap, when you make the change to slick tires from wets on a damp, cool, but drying track, this lap is exploratory and crucial.
It is. No tire warmers in the American Le Mans Series, unlike in Formula One, where they put the tires literally in ovens before they put them on the race car. They keep them wrapped up in heat-soaking blankets until the last possible second before they go on a race car, and then straight back onto the racetrack, so they retain a lot of heat. But with these tires, no, it is tricky. Particularly, it's relatively cool here this afternoon, and as you say, certainly a very cool race track as well. So it is going to take a little longer than usual to build the heat into the tires. But here now is Brian Sellers in car number 17, brings the Falcon tire car onto pit lane. I fancy that it's maybe a lap too late for these guys, because
dried so fast.
Yeah.
It was wet, and then 2 laps it dried.
You can hear that was Brian right there.
5 seconds. Get ready. Get ready.
Brian telling him how that happened that fast. Here we go. Remember, they had to wait. Tire changers cannot do anything to the car while it's being refueled.
Go, 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 go. Clear behind. Clear, clear.
Other than a driver change and cleaning the windscreen. That's all you can do while the fuel's going in, so they have to wait. And Brian out now, and he's got those slick Falcon tires on, which are also very good in low grip scenarios. We get the report now that the 56 has come back in and now has put the slicks on the tire. So we've got a number of cars that have made sometimes a second stop, but had to get on. And Sellers comes out and will blend in. Looks like he will be second as he blends. And look at how busy the pit lane is right now. And there is the 22 of Cooper McNeil bringing the WeatherTech entry in.
Yeah, the 06 car we just saw leaving there. I presume on dry weather tires, it left behind him the wet. So on their first, that was their second stop for the 06 car with Tom Kimber-Smith. That was the second stop, so they must not have changed tires on stop number 1.
And that 06 car, a GT class Porsche, and these in GT Challenge, all Porsches. And there's a look at the refueler for and the refueling rig for the crew. And here, one of our P2 entries is in, and that's our leader.
Yep, Scott Sharp in the pits in car number 01. Scott Tucker did not make the pit stop in the 551. The sister car for Level 5 Motorsports 552 did pit.
So this is huge right now. Sharp waiting, and again, fuel going in now. Fuel nozzle is pulled, air jacks fire, the car up in the air, tires going on, running the Michelins on this car. And again, you've only allowed 2 guns over the wall, so it's got to be done as a ballet, and it is some pretty intricate stuff.
However, they did not pit on that earlier stop under caution, so this is their first stop. However, they had to do it under green.
Oh, and that was very close on the pit out as Sharp pulled out. So did McMurray. And Sharp had already been moving, but McMurray was in front of him. And Sharp actually had to give up for just a minute, or there might have been some contact. Here comes the 552 in the hands of Gonzalez as he pulls back on track now with slick tires, we would presume. And I think this is our overall race leader, the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing entry, finally making the call down into pit lane. And going for fuel, I'm sure, and slicks. And we are under 2 hours remaining, an hour 58 and 45 seconds as they make their first stop.
Yeah, so the prototype cars will need, I think, 2 more pit stops before the end of the race, or a full pit stop.
Will not be as long as normal.
Yeah, and that's Brandon Fry there saying this stop will not be as long as normal because they know they're going to have to make 2 more pit stops, so they're not going to fill it up with fuel now. They're going to put maybe 2/3 of a tank of fuel in it, and then get the tire change done, and then send Lucas Lure on his way.
As the car hits it marks, Jamie is watching.
Lucas is not getting out of the car. The crew member just tried to hand him a drink bottle, and Lucas waved it off. They do not have any water in their car like in most of the other cars, and I'm actually surprised Lucas didn't want to drink. I guess he's not working too hard out there. Fuel complete on this car right now. No other work can be done. So now that the fueling is complete, 4 new slick Michelin tires. I heard on the radio, make sure you stay on the wet part of the racetrack so we don't burn down those rain tires. Clearly Lucas holding up his end of the bargain. Hold up there. It's a great pit stop today.
What a sound.
Yeah, cool. So there goes the race leader before the pit stops. But here's a cool thing. The fastest lap that DeLucas had done on wet weather tires was a 2 minutes, a 2:04.9. The fastest lap of the race has just been turned by Catherine Legg in the Delta Wing. Yeah, I love that too. She, of course, already made the switch onto dry weather tires. But hey, the Delta Wing now is the fastest car on the racetrack. You've got to love it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know that has the 551 pitted and made its change yet. If not, they might end up leading with Scott Tucker, but it should be Catherine Legg perhaps now leading this race in fairly short order in that Delta Wing. What a story that will be. Going back to see what's unfolding in the LMP Challenge category. And it is a good battle as always there. We talked about Tristan Nunez, though, getting that break when the tire change rule evaporates when everybody has to start on wets, got his third-place qualifying time back, and immediately went to the front, and he has been superb.
Yes, he has, but he wants to make sure that the team doesn't keep him out there too long, because there's no doubt that slick tires are going to be faster at this stage now, so they need to get that car into the pit lane, get it onto dry weather tires, and allow Tristan to work his magic out at the front of this field and try and pull out as big a margin as he can.
It becomes a performance issue, because the grip in a wet weather tire, when it starts getting overheated, it just goes away and you're just driving a diabolical monster. Eventually, if it starts chunking up badly, then it becomes a safety issue. There is the second place car, Duncan Endy, once again getting the call to start that. Bruno Junqueira will take over, and look at Endy giving it a lot, working around that. I think that's Ed Brown in the 02 Patron HPD machine, but Duncan Endy, as this track is drying, is starting to show some pretty good pace.
Yes, he is, and Duncan Endy in the number 9 car has made a pit stop, I believe. Yeah.
That's 4 seconds faster he just turned than Nunez.
Yeah, absolutely right. So this is, I don't know, did Nunez? Yeah, Nunez has brought that car onto pit lane. He shows up, but certainly he's going to come out of the pits a long way behind. Here is Tristan Nunez,
making his way in, so that should be Endy out on the lead here. And I wonder if, they maybe didn't wait just a little bit too long to bring Tristan in here and make the stop. Hits his marks in pit lane, and the crew going to work. The leader in LMP Challenge, the McDonald's Rickman Construction entry, and that's the Performance Tech team. Great program. Lots of success in the feeder series. That's called the IMSA Lights Championship. And in fact, Tristan Nunez coming up from that into this seat and doing incredibly well. Jamie?
And Tristan will be staying in the car. You mentioned him not racing here in the American Le Mans Series, but he did race here just yesterday in the Grand Am Rolex Series. He actually won the GX category with Mazda. So Tristan has earned he's earned his keep here this weekend, if you will. He's done a lot of track time here at Road America. Team now almost finished putting on those new Continental slicks. Tristan Nunez saying this is one of the best tracks he's ever driven on. Can't wait to get back out there. Quick pit stop and he's done.
And Tristan Nunez, he did win last year here. He won both races in the Coupe-Tard's Prototype Lights Championship on his way to the championship title. He won all the races last year except for 2. And let's have a look at those Continental tires as they come off. I mean, they're actually looking pretty good shape considering they've been run really, really hard on a pretty much dry track. But he's got a lot of ground to make up now on Duncan Endy, who's long ago gone past the start-finish line.
Yeah, he's going to be way at the back, and they're going to need some help. Caution of something at this point. Now things going to unfold. Another pit stop, somebody having an issue, but now Tristan is definitely in chase mode here, Jeremy.
Yeah, so Scott Tucker leads overall in the number 551 car for Level 5 Motorsports, the P2 car. Second place, though, is Catherine Lake, who's I think probably by now taken the lead because she's just turned a 1 minute 59. She's the only car underneath 2 minutes at the moment, 1:59.6. And then behind her will be Lucas Luhr. So good strategy by Dave Price, of course, and the rest of the guys at the Delta Wing Racing team. But how cool is it to see that come out in front of the race? But in the meantime, this battle in GT is continuing on. John Edwards is in second place behind Dominic Farnbacher.
And we just watched that as Jonathan Bomarito has moved around Jan Magnussen, and that should put him now up into the 6th spot in class. Yeah. So Bomarito is back on the charge. Got around first the number 4 Corvette of Milner, then around Mags in the number 3 CompuWare Corvette. There they are. And so Bomarito is back and on form here. And Bomarito has set an exceptional record lap here in qualifying. This class from second on back to virtually the back of the pack were covered by something like 0.8 of a second, and Bomarito's margin in that lap from first to second was 0.8, an unheard of margin, and they just hit a sweet spot in the car. And Jonathan Bomarito, folks, is one exceptional driver, and boy did that package came together with an amazing lap.
Yeah, it is, and John Edwards is a star, no doubt about it. This is a great battle going on here between the muscle cars from North America, the Vipers and the Corvettes. They've been pretty closely matched all weekend long, except for in qualifying that stellar lap that Jonathan Bomarito laid down in that number 93 car, and that's for the second race in a row. Bomarito puts that car on the pole position. Did the same at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, led a goodly portion of the race there, had a bit of a bobble just before his pit stop, which ended up being costly, but still 2 podium finishes for SRT Viper last time out.
And by my reckoning, as we watch the number 4 Corvette, currently wheeled by Tommy Milner, there's one driver here, there may be more, but I know of one, that I'm sure of that's been here for every American Le Mans Series race at this venue, and that is Ollie Gavin. And so he's making his 12th straight start in the American Le Mans Series here as we're watching those two cars having a scrap. Again, this is 7th and 8th in the GT Championship category.
And 6 wins here for Corvette Racing at Road America, but none in the GT class. They were all in GT1 before they switched to kind of downsize a little bit to the GT cars that they're running right now. So they are anxious to get the first win here. And of course, there's tremendous battle going on with BMW in the championship. It's in the Drivers' Championship. It's led by Dirk Müller in the BMW, but the Teams Championship and the Manufacturers' Championship both led coming into this weekend by Corvette.
And here is a look at our overall race leader, and how nice is it to be able to say that. First of all, for the Delta Wing, but also for Catherine Legg. And Jamie, she is wheeling this beautifully.
This will be a big pat on the back for that Delta Wing organization. The team manager, David Price, got that car up there based off of strategy and strategy alone. They pitted as soon as the pits were open for all cars on that first caution period. They came in and went ahead and went to the slick tires, whereas Muscle Milk, they did not. So it's a great pat on the back for those guys. They're certainly working today.
Boy, they are, and the strategy call was great, but we have seen from Catherine, certainly, and this car this weekend, the pace as well has been right there, and that great strategy call with the speed that Catherine's extracting from this machine. Boy, what a great story.
Yeah, this is so cool. Now watch her now. She's coming up behind Tristan Nunez, who's about to go a lap down in the PC car, but Catherine just flies past on the straight. That little Delta Wing, it's super slippery in a straight line, and away goes Catherine past to put Tristan a lap down on the overall standings. Nunez, though, is still in 5th place in the PC class.
Well, and look at her just using the whole bit of the road, doing what she needs to do at this point. And there is the Delta Wing. What a great story as we are watching that. But keep in mind, you can enter for a chance to win the all-new 2014 Corvette Stingray and a trip for 2 to the 24 Hours of Le Mans in France. All you have to do is visit racetowincorvette.com. That's racetowincorvette.com right now to enter, and you've got a chance to win the all-new 2014 Corvette Stingray and a trip for 2 to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, 24 du Mans in Le Mans, France. And folks, that's a bucket list item to go to that race.
Oh man, it certainly is. It's a fantastic event, it's amazing how many people I've spoken to actually over the last few weeks, last few race weekends, who say, hey, I want to go to Le Mans. And I said, don't miss it.
Go.
It is, there's so much history there, so much atmosphere there, there's so many enthusiastic fans, there's so many things to do, see, even if the race, of course, itself is wonderful, but there's so many other things to see in the area as well. It's very cool. Wow, there goes Catherine again.
Into the kink, making that move, and that's where that is a driver in the number 4 car Corvette there, Tommy Milner, who understands running in traffic and having faster cars overtaking. He led her through, and going into the kink, you don't want to have surprises, and he led her through clean. She respected it. That's 2 class drivers right there executing beautifully in different categories of cars.
Yeah, that's right. She's coming on the 2nd Corvette now. She's going to have to follow him, I think, through turn 14 and then make her presence felt on the front straightaway here. So Catherine will zoom past, but certainly she's actually last time around she turned the lap time was exactly 2 minutes, 2 minutes.000. That's kind of cool. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
Across the line she comes over one more time. I know it was a slightly slower, but again, traffic there, and she's going to be looking in the mirrors fairly soon because Lucas Luhr will be closing up pretty quickly, but he's still 10 or 12 seconds behind, I believe. He's not yet come across the line. There he is, 12.4 seconds, the gap between 1st and 2nd overall that lap. Catherine now going through turn 3, and Lucas Luhr around about turn 1.
Catherine there putting on a little bit of a clinic at overtaking too, because when she came up, she saw I can make this move cleanly without hurting the Corvette too much going into the kink, tricky spot, but knew she could do it. As she got down into Canada Corner, out as she was closing on the 3, she realized if I try and pass that car going into 14, that's going to slow us both up. We're going to be very slow up the hill. She actually laid back a little bit, used the arrow of that Delta Wing to carry much more exit speed out of 14. You saw her. As soon as they got out of the exit, she moved over and was gone. awesome stuff by Catherine Legg, and really racing extremely well right now.
That's right, and very little sports car experience, of course, Catherine. Most of her career in open wheel cars. She did drive the DTM in Germany for a couple of years in the late 2000s, but in these sort of prototype cars, very little experience. She did the Daytona 24 Hours once, but other than that, just 3 American Le Mans Series starts this season, and yet to see the checkered flag.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, even her DTM experience in the sports cars, that's a one category car. It's different machines, obviously, but it's one class. And, it's very similar closing. Right. There is no closing speeds. They're just outright racing. And she has picked up the nuance here of this multi-class racing. Here comes Lucas Luhr. See him check? That's what I love about open cockpit cars. You can see him very clearly check the mirror, make sure he had cleared that GT Challenge car, that's Patrick Dempsey, before he moved over to set up to get the arc through Canada corner. And now quickly trying to get around these vets, can't hear, and he'll wait. Now he'll make the move and make that pass. But again, as he's trying to close up on Catherine Legg, and we'll see what kind of time. She just turned a 2:02 as she got caught with those Corvettes. And Luhr, let's see what kind of a time, at 1:58. So he is closing quickly. He's picked up some 4 seconds in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. Of course, the Muscle Milk HPD car number 6 has been way more developed than the Delta Wing. Delta Wing very still in its infancy. Did a couple of races last year, but this is a completely different package this season. It might look pretty much the same, but underneath it's not. A completely different engine package, which they've been evolving along with the aerodynamics and particularly the cooling aspects of that new Elan engine this season. They've had some difficulties, which is not surprising, but they are making tremendous progress. And the car's now got really good speed, and the drivers, both Catherine Legg and Andy Merritt, they love driving this car. It's nimble, it's fast in a straight line, and it's super cool as well to look at.
And it loves long, high-speed corners, and they've gone to a couple of tracks here as of late that define that, and they're just enjoying it. And again, I've had it all explained to me how this car works, and it's pretty impressive. But to wrap your head around it is interesting, that the front end of that car, those 2 tires, are 4 inches wide each. And it's all in the physics of how that car is designed. As Scott Tucker brings the LMP1 leading machine, or LMP2 leading machine, that is the Alpina Watches entry down into pit lane. Yeah, and that's surprising that he should stay out this long, because he's going to lose out an awful lot of time here to the other contenders in the P2 class. Not the case over Ed Brown. He also has stayed out. And the thing about this is he's now reached the 1 hour mark in this race, so he's fulfilled his commitment here. In the Pro-Am classes, GT Challenge and P2, you have to the lesser qualified driver has to do a minimum of 1 hour of seat time. He's just done that. Ed Brown also on the same strategy has just done that in the 02 car for Extreme Speed Motorsport. So now they're co-drivers respectively. It'll be in the 551 car. It is pretty good shoe.
Yeah, Simon Pagenaud, who's making a return to the team this season, and in the 02 car, it'll be Johannes van Overbeek, who's been super fast this weekend in the 02 car for ESM.
And Simon Pagenaud, who'll get behind the wheel of that 551 machine, has some great history at this track. Although he didn't win the race, he clinched the Atlantic Championship at Road America the year he won that title, as we're watching Johannes van Overbeek now replacing Ed Brown. Jeremy, you talked about it. Same strategy, getting into that hour window. The gentleman drivers have to run. And look at those tires. They have been abused. There's no question about it. And now they've got the wets off. The slicks are going on, Kelly, and they're just completing the stop.
That's right. Ed Brown's been on those wet tires this entire time. But now they've got Johannes van Overbeek. It looks like they're having some issues getting him buckled in. They know that they've had issues making their driver changes before. It was actually the steering wheel. As I get a better angle on it, this team wants to do just one driver change because that has been their Achilles heel. As you see, there was a bit of a delay there again, but Johannes van Overbeek, who's really improved his experience in these HPD prototypes, now underway in the O2 Extreme Speed Motorsport car.
Thanks, Kelly. And yeah, Johannes has just frankly been extremely impressive this year, making the transition, never having before driven prototype machinery until this season, and has done so well. Yeah, you talk about not being able to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm not trying to say JVO is old. Johannes van Overbeek, he isn't. He is 40 years of age. He's done all of his racing his entire career
in sedans and GT cars up until now. So to step into a prototype with all this downforce, the stopping power, the grip through the corners, it's a real learning curve, and boy, he's picked it up quickly. I've been super impressed with how fast Johannes van Overbeek has been this season.
Check in with what's going on in GT Challenge, and the number 45, that is the Venezuela E-Silicon Flying Lizards machine of Nelson Canachet right now leading the category, having a very strong day. Cooper McNeil second in the number 22 machine, and then third is Enrique Cisneros. That is the number 30 Momo NGT, and those three cars are the three cars that are in a huge point battle right now. On board with Cooper McNeil, tied for the points lead, Jamie, having a good run.
Well, the times during all the practices as well as qualifying left all of us kind of scratching our heads, because we're used to seeing that number 22 from Alex Shobe Racing competing in the top of the class. They haven't qualified either first or second all season long, but this weekend they were sixth. The team immediately went to work to figure out why. It turns out they were actually 6 miles an hour down on straightaways. That equals about a second and a half per lap. So they did swap engines this morning. The team much happier with the way that car is performing here during the race.
Well, we saw the pace that Jerome had in the morning warm-up, and you knew, all right, they found whatever it was.
No kidding. Yeah, he was way down the order yesterday in qualifying. Qualified back in 6th place in the class, but this morning in the warm-up, and there was only really 1 or 2 laps they got at the most of any speed because of a couple of incidents on racetrack, but he turned a time that would have been good enough for P2 on the grid.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing for Blekemolen. And you know, the Dutchman comes into this weekend on an unbeaten streak here at Road America. He's been here 3 times, been on the pole 3 times prior to yesterday, and it has 3 wins, looking for number 4.
And of course, he and Cooper McNeil, he helped Cooper McNeil to the championship in this class last year. Here is the number 11 JDC Hertz entry, Mike Hedlund, starting that car, and they have come in and made their stop. I would suspect that means we might be seeing behind the wheel of that car now, it would be Jan Halen. We'll have to see once things, and the number 27, Dempsey Del Piero Racing, Tully's Coffee Porsche, that had pitted Patrick Dempsey starting that car, had been running 5th in the class, and Patrick is a pretty comfortable driver in the wet, actually. Says he really enjoys racing the wet. And here we go, Lucas Luhr now. You can see he has made up a lot of ground officially at the line, 3.2 seconds adrift of Catherine Legg. And it was inevitable, as we've talked about, that the Muscle Milk Pickett car was going to catch and get around the Delta Wing. As you said, a very well-developed car that is a championship-winning car in this class. And the Delta Wing very much on a development and learning curve. But still in all, a great day and a great run for Delta Wing and Catherine Legg.
Yeah, and she's done 3 or 4 laps within a 1/10 of a second or so of each other in amongst a couple of other ones with where she got lots of traffic. But still, I think it's been a really good drive by Catherine so far. She's coming down the hill now into turn 8, and she can probably see just 2 cars behind her is that Muscle Milk car number 6. But she knows she's not battling really for the win.
Right.
She needs problems for the number 6 car in order to have any chance of winning the race overall. But still, it's got to be good for her and good for her confidence to lead the race overall.
Oh boy, that was a moment there that GT Challenge car tried to help and move out of the way. And how many times have we heard, don't do that, let us go through. She had committed to making that pass, and that car tried to help, and she could not quite get through. Actually, that wasn't a GT Challenge car. That was the 48 Paul Miller machine, and that really bought Catherine Legg, and that has brought Lucas Luhr right up behind. And of course, the crews are on the radio going, Catherine, he's closing at 3 seconds a lap when he makes his move. Don't necessarily fight it. But she's going to hang on as long as she can. Why not?
Yeah, that was Marco Holzer. He's 4th place in that Tripard Watches car. And
here we go.
This is going to be interesting now. Let's see the drag race on the front straightaway. Catherine Legg leads from the HBD. And look at this. She's pulling away down the front straight. You've got to love that.
That's fantastic. Now, I think Lucas got a little bit balked there because Catherine made that move to get around that Chopard car. But still, when they both got on the hammer, that Delta Wing was able to go. But now is where that highly developed HPD chassis will take over and make that car so quick down through those corners, and Lucas Luhr into the overall race lead. But what a story, what a day for Delta Wing.
About 3 seconds a lap quicker.
I think this team, Delta Wing, they should leave here today, whatever happens, with their heads held very high.
It's certainly been fun to lead the motor race overall. No question about that. And they've had difficulties reaching to the end of the race, but they've done over an hour now, an hour and a half or so to go. And I think at this stage, they'll just try and bring it home. I mean, they're running in second place overall. They've got a very comfortable advantage over the third place car in P1. That is Chris McMurray in a Dyson Racing car number 16. He's almost a minute behind and turning very similar lap times to Catherine Legg. So they're completely different cars.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more different. But it's so cool, I think, to see these three completely different Prototype 1 cars running at the head of the field.
I agree. One of the issues with the Delta Wing has been an overheating issue. Well, it's nice and cool here today relative to where we've been the last couple of races. So that could play into a little bit of longevity for them. And Cooper McNeil has brought the number 22 WeatherTech Porsche leading at the time in the class in GT Challenge down into pit lane. And tires are being changed as you would expect, and Jerome Bleekemolen has crawled behind the wheel, and we've talked about Jerome's remarkable record here at Road America and just what he achieves worldwide whenever he steps behind the wheel of a Porsche or anything for that matter. He's driven any class.
Yeah, and here we are.
There's the change-up.
The two leaders and the two co-leaders in the championship coming in exactly the same time. Now the pro drivers are at the wheel. As you say, number 22 car now Jerome Bleekemolen. Number 45 Flying Lizard Machine is driven now by Spencer Pumpelly.
Here's a look at our Michelin Green X Challenge standings currently in the prototype class. The Delta Wing on top, and look at the margin, and that is the whole idea behind the Delta Wing, getting that kind of performance out of that car with half of the consumables. In GT, the Risi Competizione car, we've always said this car is very good on fuel, and that, with its pace, is going to be playing the numbers game pretty strongly here. It, too, has a sizable advantage right now over the Porsche and the BMW in second and third. So there's our Michelin Green X Challenge update as the race unfolds. Remember, there's one for each category, prototype and GT, not each class. And that's impressive stuff as we hop on board with Jerome Bleekemolen. You can just see that little red dot up in the front. That's working through the exit of 11. And that is the leader, or the car that they are racing in terms of the championship right now.
Yeah, we have to see until they come around to figure out exactly what the positions are in order now in GTC, because we've already seen a couple of contenders already make their changes. I think everybody else actually now has made the change to the pro drivers. Madison Snow is at the wheel of car number 68. Sean Edwards at the wheel of car number 30. Jan Hale at the wheel of number 11. We saw that pit stop. And Andy Lally has taken over from Patrick Dempsey in the number 27 car.
Yeah, and of course, the car that Jerome is chasing right now, we've been talking about the driver in that car, the pro, is Spencer Pumpelly, and all he did was put it on pole. So it doesn't mean Jerome's got an easy game of it here. But he's made up some ground already down into Canada Corner.
And there was a stunning time by Spencer Pumpelly, too. The previous lap record around here in qualifying was set by Bleekemolen last year at 2 minutes 12.7. Well, Spencer Pumpelly turned at 2 minutes 11.9. So 3/4 of a second he took off that GTC mark. And considering these are spec cars, they haven't changed at all since last year. That was a heck of a lap from Spencer Pumpelly and Flying Lizard.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to him, and he said it was magic. He said the car we just hit, there's not a lot you can do to adjust setup on these cars, because it's the little tweaks. Because boy, that crew absolutely nailed it, and he said it felt so comfortable to drive hard and fast, and he was able to do that. As we take another glimpse here at Catherine Legg in that Delta Wing. Again, those two skinny tires up front, and the new engine package in the car from when it debuted at Le Mans last year. Lots of development continuing on this car, as well as a roof going to be coming on a new model coming out.
Yeah, that's right. The coupe will be out fairly soon. We hope that the car has been, the chassis is ready. It's now beginning race. It'll be beginning race build this week down in Georgia. But the cooler conditions there are certainly going to be beneficial for this team, because they've had overheating problems with this new engine, and they've changed a lot of the components on that car and the packaging of it, and also the tires. The little tires take a big abuse here at Road America.
On board here with Dominic Farnbacher leading in the number 91 SRT Motorsports Viper. Second in the class is the number 56 BMW, the white entry. Still John Edwards behind the wheel of that Crown Plaza Rail Letterman Lanigan car. And then Matteo Magliucelli in the Risi Competizione Pulsar Group. Ferrari number 62 sits third. 48 is Holzer in the Chopard Porsche. So pretty good mix here when you take a look at what we're seeing. A Viper, a BMW, a Ferrari, and a Porsche. The top four in GT. That's pretty impressive parity in this class, and Farnbacher looking really strong right now. And remember, that car got a little bit beat up in the early going, damage to the back. I had a dive plane knocked off of that left front, and doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. He's wheeling it beautifully, and there is John Edwards in the BMW.
Yeah, that's the gap then between first and second, about 9 seconds, a little bit less than that on that lap. In third place was Matteo Malucelli, not yet come across the line for the Ferrari. So we've got the Viper leading, the BMW second, the Ferrari third for car number 62 Malucelli. In fourth place, the best of the Porsches, number 48 car of Marco Holzer, and behind Marco Holzer in GT, got to get back quite a long way actually to Jonathan Bomarito in the second of the Vipers, number 93, who was ahead of the second of the BMWs, Bill Auberlin in 55, and then the two Corvettes, numbers 3 and 4.
Yeah, and of course Bomarito, maybe that the team waiting a little bit long to bring him in and affect that tire change, and that may have been the key. There is again the always impressive John Edwards. I'll tell you, every time he shows up and helps when Joey Hand can't run, he gets the job done, and he makes no bones about it. He said, yeah, I love driving these cars. I'll drive them as fast as they can prep them for me, but my number one role here is to help first BMW win the Manufacturers Championship, and secondly, to keep Dirk Mueller in the points lead, his co-driver in this car.
Yeah, that was a great call, though, to come in early with this car, and also John Edwards also in the BMW, and Malucelli in the Ferrari, and the Corvettes and the second Viper and the second BMW, ruining, I think, the fact they weren't able to come in and take on slick tires during that early caution period. And as we heard Brian Sellers say on the radio, he was just amazed how quickly the track dried out. And those couple of laps made all the difference. I mean, they're now best part of a minute behind in GT.
Let's see if we stay on this shot for a while. Let's just ride and listen to this V10 and watch Dom at the controls. And as he comes up and goes under the start-finish line, we come to this shot. Notice that they're carrying a little bit of a new sponsor on the top of those front wheel flares, Rush. That's going to be coming out here in fairly soon order. Ron Howard tweeting like mad about, we can't wait to get this out. We're so excited about it. There is third and fourth, by the way, Malucelli and Holzer. And Holzer is closing in, it looks like. And we get a report that the Delta Wing is making its way down into pit lane. Jamie is waiting. Catherine Legg bringing in the car that has been spectacular today.
Team on the radio telling Catherine, make sure you hit your marks. Pit lane is slick. She was dead on. This will be a fuel service stop. There will be a driver change. So Andy Mayrick climbing into the car. You can see how small the car is. So getting the driver change right is a little bit of a challenge. There's not much wiggle room here. In Merrick Lamont Series, no other work can be done except for the change until the fuel is complete. Now the team's going to work on the bridge stones. There are some big changes coming for this Delta Wing organization. I'm hearing by the end of this season, they are going to unveil a coupe version of the Delta Wing. So clean pit stop for these guys.
All right, Jamie, big development here. The number 2 entry, Johannes van Overbeek, that extreme speed Patron car. He has pulled it off track, and there are flames at the left rear corner of that car up in the engine compartment. He's exited in a hurry, and that looks like the exit is at the carousel, I believe, where he has just pulled off and parked. And Johannes is trying to get a fire extinguisher there, and the crew, the workers hand him one. And now here comes the actual response vehicle. That's one of the Road America Fire Safety EV-ish units. And boy, that you can still see those flames licking away. And Johannes trying to get over there. Here comes the rest of the crew, and they are on it right now, trying to get that fire out. Let's see if we can go back, Jeremy, and see if it was something that just suddenly developed, or how this may have unfolded. Watch it here.
Yeah, coming into the carousel clearly at a very low speed. The problem has already occurred, and he's looking in his mirror, seeing those flames and thinking, this is not a good idea, I need to get out of here. So he really has no option. He tries to get as close as he can to a fire station over there at the exit of the carousel. I think he could see the marshals down on the outside of the corner. He's looking across there as he brings that car to a halt.
Let's check it out from the onboard. Listen to this.
Ugly. Don't want to hear too much of that, I'm afraid. That's not a nice sound. Clearly a major mechanical failure there. You can see the red lights flashing on the dash. That's not a good sign either. The idiot lights, they used to be known as. to tell the driver, hey, not looking good here, get out.
Yep, and you can see he signaled right away when he pulled over to the workers over there.
Yeah.
The problem is they're buried behind those tire barriers. And so it was probably, I think, a great idea for him. It's quicker for him to run to the wall, get the fire bottle, and for them to try and scramble over those tires. But the great efforts by the Road America fire response vehicle, it was there fast and on the scene. So hopefully the damage not too bad as we are on board with the number 4 CompuWare Corvette as it heads up the hill here at Road America, as we are continuing into round 6 of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. As we have now gone by, we are now under an hour and 26 minutes to go. So watching from the onboard shot here as I keep seeing those flashes on the side of the car, but I think it's actually the emergency vehicle flashers, but it's right in that seam. And so they have got the EV crew, and they are just trying to get the, there we go, get the car up and onto the back of the tilt bed and get this car moved so we can continue under a full course caution here at Road America. And caused by this incident. Not exactly sure what happened. There was some pretty serious, obviously, issue in the engine bay that ended up in flame. It looked like it could have well been an oil line or something of that sort, but nonetheless, it is out, and we are about to get that car up on the back of the tilt bed and get this going. And I would think at this point, Jeremy, we are going to see some wholesale action in the pits.
Yes, and I tell you what, one of the beneficiaries, I think, from this, from the timing of this caution period is going to be the Delta wing, because I think it'll cycle through to the front. Let's go down to the pit lane and Kelly Stavist.
Just getting a quick word with some of the Extreme Speed Motorsport engineers standing around, and honestly, they have no idea what's happened. They said there was no warning from the car, any of the data. Just suddenly it was on fire. Now, a couple of the team members speculating based on some noises they heard it could have been a turbo, but at this point it's just purely speculation. They'll have to wait to get that O2 back to the garage and check it out to find out what really went on.
Well, and that's entirely possible. Obviously, there's a lot of lubrication inside that turbo that keeps it spinning at those revs, and when that comes apart, that thing is hot.
It was nothing trivial, that's for sure.
No, not even. It was a pretty comprehensive ignition there, whatever it was that happened. But as you can see, they're continuing. They have to get the nose of the car on. Then they raise that tilt bed a little bit to improve the angle, and now they're going to try and get that car all the way up and on the back. And again, part of the problem is the car was on the edge of the track, off on the grass, next to the gravel, and that just presents some challenges in terms of how low these cars sit. So that keeps it pretty tight and tough. So, this season, lifestyle correspondent Evan Prellick has taken us behind the scenes at the track. Now she takes a look at the many culinary delights available to teams.
Race teams have options when it comes to eating at the racetrack. From personal chefs to traveling hospitality units, the teams can always find a good meal. And at Road America, there are even more great choices.
We're expecting about 100,000 people this weekend coming through, so we're roughly going to be cooking about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of pork and brisket combined.
The pulled pork is really good. Sweet corn, brought some pork, made right down the road actually.
Now, if you could eat one of these, what would be your favorite sandwich?
The Big Gear.
What's on the Big Gear?
It's cheese, a hamburger, a brat, and cheese, and then a bun.
So you have to add French fries to that, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter where you go or what you eat. Here at Road America, you cannot go wrong.
What was on that sandwich?
Lots. Lots and lots and lots stacked here.
It is a feature of Road America, though. The food here is legendary amongst racing circles, and I think now's a great opportunity to take advantage of it, guys and girls.
Absolutely.
And boys and girls.
And here at Road America in the heartland of Wisconsin, that's going to be good brats and cheese is going to be available, but so much other stuff. That brisket looked exceptional, and it's just got some of the best track food going. And each of the stands, that's what's cool here, each of the concession stands have their own specialties. So you can wander around and do all kinds of opportunities here to find some stuff here. And pits have just been open for prototypes, and that's how they do it here. They open it for prototypes, and then the next lap they will open it for the GT cars. It just keeps traffic down on pit lane and doesn't have a couple of classes sort of tripping over each other and maybe costing one of them big because they got caught out by a car from another class. And you called it. I'm very fascinated to see how this all changes up and where that Delta Wing ends up.
Yeah, I fancy we're going to see most of the other leaders here onto the pit lane now in the prototype category. We've got 1 hour and 20 minutes to go, so they can make a stop now, and there'll be one more stop to the end of the race, and that'll be just fine. So I would expect to see both of them on the pit lane.
There goes Lucas. So our overall P1 leader has made the move. Yep. Looks like McMurray edging toward pit lane. Second in the P1 class, and the number 16 Dyson Tetford Nolkord. That's the Mazda Lola.
So guess what?
Yeah.
This is going to put the Delta Wing back in the lead of this race. I love it.
I think it's, absolutely. And boy, they have just hit the strategy beautifully with that car.
Hey, I'd rather be lucky than good. I'd be even better if I'm lucky and good.
And that's what they've been today, without doubt. And so let's see. Does Scott Sharp come in? Leading in the, so he makes the stop. Boy, all kinds of things. There is Scott Sharp. So Scott Sharp, came in from the lead in the P2 category. They won a race earlier at Long Beach, but that one, it was very early in their P2 campaign, and they just frankly didn't have the pace of the Level 5 team, but the Level 5 team had nothing but problems. But today, they want to win outright, and Kelly, it's down to this stop.
Scott Sharp, who has 2 wins here at Road America, one of those overall, hands it over to Guy Cosmo. Remember, this is a team that switched to these prototypes from GT Ferraris, and it's definitely been a development and learning process for him, but Guy says they're really finding their way now. He feels really comfortable in this car. The pace that he had in qualifying, he said, was good for the race. He goes, I can run this thing at that speed all day long. We'll have to do it for the duration of this race. Perhaps a slight delay as the 01 gets back out.
And there's been a slight delay for the number 552 Marino Frank Petey now behind the wheel of the car. Had trouble getting the car fired. The driver change also took a little bit longer than expected. Nonetheless, he has a fresh set of Michelins and he's ready to go.
You can see the frustration in the crew as he pulled out. 2 of the crew that were there, you can see them, they just dropped their heads and shook it. They take such pride, these crews, in executing these stops. And even when it's something that is not a crew-related issue, little, like I said, a little delay in getting the engine to restart. These engines are hot, they're stressed, sometimes that happens, but it just frustrates these crews huge because they're all about perfection in these stops.
That's exactly right. They practice these pit stops all the time, so they know what they can do, they know how good they can be, so if they don't live up to their standards, they're going to be upset. But this is going to elevate the number 0 car back to the lead, the Delta Wing. But What's interesting also is the 551 car did not pit because Ed Brown, after his fine first stint after an hour, that car does not need another pit stop just yet.
If you're watching here on ALMS.com, Panos P1 progression, I mean, you look at what they did early. It's always been cutting edge. He said a car has a motor in front when he first got into prototype racing, and they built the LMP1 Roadster S and won with it. A tremendous story. And then he said, let's do something different. Let's look at new technology, new green technology, new ideas. And that progression from 99 to 2013, from the front engine P1 Roadster to the Delta Wing, Don Panos and that organization, when they get involved with something, it's always different, and they always commit to it and make it work.
Yeah, and they've certainly made huge strides this season. I mean, to think that car never turned a wheel.
Yeah.
10 days before the Sebring 12 hours. To go to that as your very first race with so little time is asking for trouble. And to be fair, that's what they got because the car didn't last very long in the race. But hey, you don't know until you run it on the racetrack. So hats off to everybody in that organisation for just giving it a go and finding out and learning on the fly. And the amount of progress they've made in just 5 months really now is astonishing.
It truly is. Now, we just saw a shot of their GT leader, Dominic Farnbacher. Then we just saw a shot of John Edwards. Now we are looking into the eyes of one of the Corvette drivers at this point. There is, I think that is Mags. We're getting a report, though, that when this opens now to GT, which it has, that the Vipers might stay out. The others are seriously contemplating pitting. So this is going to be interesting to see how that's going to unfold.
Yes, it is, because we've got an hour and 15 minutes to go in the race as it stands. The GT cars can do just a little bit over an hour. They can't do an hour and 15, but it's going to be 5 minutes probably before we get back to green, probably at least. So there's going to be maybe an hour and 10 minutes to go to the end of the race. Well, to make that, a stint of fuel last that long, it's going to be a bit of a tall order.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be pressured. There is a look at the guy who put that car on pole, and oops, as we say that, the 93 comes in, and so does the 91. So that was radio psych job, I think.
It was. And you have to, though, because you've got to take you can't be on a completely different strategy. I think when you've got in the lead car, you don't want to go out on a limb. So try and do what everybody else is doing.
Boy, and this is going to be interesting. And look at that as the 91 feints to the right, that BMW coming right up alongside and wanting to, if you make the pass in pit lane, it's going to be interesting.
And
Jamie.
This will be a full stop for the 91. Driver change happening. Now Mark Goossens getting behind the wheel right in front of him, though the sister car, the number 93, also made it onto pit road. It's very congested down here. The 93 car a little too far from the wall. Kelly?
56 BMW, Dirk Mueller now behind the wheel there. Remember, he is your points leader in this GT championship, but it's the Corvette they're battling both in drivers' points and in manufacturers' points, Jamie, but it's that Viper that they want to beat on track.
Well, the 91 came into pit lane first, but they are going to get beat out of pit lane by the number 62, Risi Competizione Ferrari. That was a great stop for that team, as well as the number 48, Paul Miller Racing, also beat the number 93 out. So there's been a change of position right here on pit road.
Oh, and this is so close as the two Corvettes sandwich the Risi Competizione car coming out, and both of them get out in front of the Viper. And there was a little issue as Farnbacher got out. His radio connection cord absolutely hung up Goossens and slowed up that driver change. That little thing can cost you 3 spots.
It can, but I think the tire change took a little bit longer than getting Mark Goossens bolted into the car. But what was interesting here is the fact that the Corvette strategy on the last round of pit stops didn't really work in their favor. They didn't come in as early as some of these other contenders to take on slick tires, but now they needed less fuel than these other guys. That's why their stops are quicker. That's why they're vaulted to the front of the GT field.
Did a nice job. Now, we've talked about some of the other racing that's unfolded. The IMSA Development Series also produces some great racing in the Porsche GT3 Cup presented by Yokohama.
At the start of round number 9, Sloan Uri takes the point lead into turn 1, but then a problem for Angel Benitez Jr. He spins. Paul Barnhart, the blue 17, the white 6 of David Ducote, they're involved, but the big hit is Wesley Hoagland in the 0-2. That's going to bring out a full course caution, but we get back to racing. Madison Snow gets the best of Uri up into turn 6, takes over the lead. A little more action on the racetrack as Dan Whalen turns Danny Gianfrancesco. They both crash, but for Madison Snow, he takes his 4th victory of the season. well-earned checkered flag. Here's a look at the results from both of the rounds of IMSA GT3 Cup from Road America. We'll be back to more American Le Mans Series action from Road America right after this, and a word from your local ABC stations.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran battery tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran battery tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Labor Day weekend, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron returns to the streets of Baltimore. Watch the world's most exotic sports cars battle it out around the Inner Harbor. Information available at GrandPrixofBaltimore.com.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Welcome back, everybody. We are on board with Simon Pagenaud, the number 551 entry. That is leading in the P2 category right now. And overall leader, Andy Merrick in the Delta Wing. Again, just the way it's unfolding, pretty impressive. And we are watching a great battle unfolding here. Klaus Graf sits 3rd overall, 2nd in P1. And then it is Marino Franchitti, the team car to this one, number 552, sitting 2nd in the P2 category. Guy Cosmo, 5th overall, 3rd in P2 in the 0-1. Then your leader in the LMP Challenge category, Tristan Nunez. Boy, what a comeback story that has been for that team. And in the GT category, it is now the number 3 Corvette. Antonio Garcia is leading in the CompuWare Corvette. So lots unfolding here at Road America as we are closing in on the hour remaining mark, an hour and 8 minutes away, as we continue to ride on board here with the class-leading car in the P2 category. Out of turn 3, and let's enjoy this ride up through and under the Sargento Bridge. One of the things you notice about these cars, Jeremy, is with those turbos, it is not that snarly engine note. Those turbos definitely muffle it, but they also give you a lot of muscle.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And they don't have a lot of torque, those cars, but they do have pretty good straight line speed. But nothing like the straight line speed that this car has. A Delta Wing now carrying through the carousel, and Andy Merrick here carrying on the great work that Catherine Legg did earlier on. And making hay while the sun doesn't quite shine, I guess, today. But it really is rather fun to see this car. I must admit I was a bit hesitant about the project originally because it's not built to any rules. It's not the
Right.
same as all these other contenders that have to build a car to teams or manufacturers have to build to a set of regulations. They had a clean sheet of paper. They just did whatever they like as a cool piece of technology. But it really is that, I have to say. And it is rather fun to see it out leading the race. And being driven very, very well indeed by both of these two.
And you talked about the new coupe that is coming out, expected relatively soon. That is a built from the ground up chassis by the Panos Group and Elan Technologies. This car, basically, the chassis is an Aston Martin and AMR 1 chassis that was heavily, obviously revised to work on this, but it gave them a base platform to work from. That new car will be built from the ground up, and will be fascinating to see how that unfolds. And keep in mind, folks, Klaus Graf closing on Andy relatively quickly here. And again, we expect this. This is a development program here. But as we're watching Andy Myrick driving that car, the gal who put that car into the lead early is Catherine Legg.
It was a stellar stint for Catherine Legg behind the wheel of that Delta Wing. Catherine, this is now your 4th race with the team. How has this program changed since you started?
It's a development program, so every time we go out we get quicker, we get more reliable, and we show, really the essence of what the Delta Wing project is all about. Dr. Panos' dream of showing that it's a more efficient car, and I think today we've kind of proved that. We've had a great race so far. Keep fingers crossed, and I'm really proud of the guys. I'm really proud of the team because they've done a great job.
What are some of the key areas that you guys have been able to prove over the time?
So we started out, it was very new to us. We had a lot of engine development to do, a lot of car development to do. We're still not anywhere near where we aim to be. We knew it would take through the year, and we were hoping that the results would gradually get better. And so yeah, we've done a lot of work on everything. If I went through everything that we've done, we'd be here all day.
All right, well, it was a great stint for you.
It was that. We have a full course caution, and the number 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari is off. Matteo Magliucelli stayed on board during the pit stops and couldn't quite pick the corner up there, but it is deep into the gravel, and that means it is going to be a long haul to get it out. Jeremy, we're going to go back and take a look at what may have happened.
Well, it's strange they didn't make the driver change there. Certainly, but it looks like don't know whether they got any help from the Core Autosport Porsche there down into turn 3. Hard to see from the clip we got there, but it ended up there with that 62 car in the gravel, and boy, it's been a season to forget for Giuseppe Risi and his team based out of Houston. Nothing seems to have gone their way at all. Now the car, it's right on the edge of the gravel trap. How exasperating is that? I mean, a foot pretty much either way, and it would be able to just drive out and continue, but it's now stuck axle deep in that gravel.
Notice a little bit of damage to the right front corner of the Risi car as well. So I don't think I was part of this incident, but they've definitely been in some battles, that's for sure. Taking a look here, the 05 LMP Challenge entry, that's the pole sitting car of Colin Brown, and some reason here he's dropped to the back of the queue. See what happened to something. Oh,
whoops. Got some help from,
that's why.
From Rusty Mitchell, apparently, who was a lap down in the PC. That wasn't the battle for the lead. Colin Brown was leading it, and yeah, it looked like he got a bit of help there, but how Rusty got that close, I'm not quite sure. But incidentally, the scoring is just updated. It was indeed Olivier Beretta at the wheel of the 62 car, not Matteo Magliucelli. And he is out of the gravel now, back underway.
Oh, okay. So that had just not updated yet. So, well, that's a good thing. Matteo has been fast, but he's had some incidents this year, and he didn't need to have one more on his CV. So that's unfortunate, though, to see that car have its issues. And hopefully they'll be able to, as they get it out, just if they get the gravel cleared out of that car, no other damage to it, and it will be able to continue. But nonetheless, it has pushed us into another full course caution scenario. We are closing in on an hour remaining, at an hour and 3 right now here at Road America. But talking about this, we listened to Andy Merrick, or watching him out on the track, and listening to Catherine Legg talk about the development and what's going on in this car. It's pretty cool. One thing I noticed, and that's, again, I love about open cockpit cars, is Andy Merrick has a very different head position when he's going through these corners than Catherine. He really gets that head canted way over as he's slogging that car around the track. That's kind of fun to see. And boy, talk about one of the great drivers. As you look back at Oliver Gavin, just an incredible record in the American Le Mans Series in general, an incredible record here at Road America. He's truly one of the special pilots in the world of sports car racing.
Yeah, isn't he just? And this is his 107th start in the American Le Mans Series, a record 112 made by both Bill Oberlin and by Jan Magnussen in this race. But this caution period, it's good news for the GT contenders, because now I think they should just about be able to get to the end of the race on this tank of fuel, and particularly aggravating for the number 62 team, because that is one that we talked about before. It's one of the most fuel efficient cars in the GT field, but now it's all the way to the back. I think that Beretta might have got back out on the track just behind the safety car, but ahead of the race leader in GT. So whether, having caused the caution, whether he's eligible for the pass around to go to the back end of the field in GT, I'm honestly not quite sure. We'll see in the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, you were talking about Ollie Gavin, like he said, 3 wins here, but he's had 4 fastest race laps. So he is a man that likes to get on with business here at Road America. And now, of course, taking a look on board the number 91, Mark Goossens in that Viper. And yeah, that's a pretty special little decal sitting there, isn't it? Yeah,
in memory of Alan Simonson, who of course died in a crash at Le Mans, the opening stage of the race there. He's a great friend of many people around the racing world in particular, of course, and particularly in the GT ranks, because Alan drove a variety of GT cars all over the planet over the last 10, 12 years or so. So yeah, sadly missed, and nice to see that little tribute on the inside of the Viper.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, yeah, we've been talking about how some of these cautions have played into the strategy that unfolded for the Delta Wing. On the downside, this one in particular has allowed that number 16 Dyson Lola Mazda to make up a pretty substantial deficit and be right up behind them.
Yeah, and I think Beretta did get the wave around there, so he's going to be able to cycle back to the back of the field.
Of course, the number 3 Corvette having a great run. Jamie is with Jan Magnussen.
Well, it was pit work and strategy that got the number 3 Corvette to the lead of the GT category. Yeah, and your guys have been stellar so far today. What can we expect strategy-wise for the remainder of the race?
Well, I think decide the race now is that if anybody can make it to the end, or if everybody can make it to the end. But the track's getting better and better right now, so everybody's on the right tires, it's dry, everybody's on slick, so now it's just if you can make it to the end.
So as a driver, when your team comes over the radio and they say, we need you to conserve fuel, what do you do in order to do that?
I act like I'm saving fuel.
Well, now I know. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, I'm saving fuel. Flat on it. Yeah. But hey,
and how
amazing
how they do
fuel coming up as an issue at Road America.
Yeah, really. It happens all the time here. And it's still going to be very tight for these teams. There's less than an hour to go now, but they did have a couple of green flag laps before this caution period came out again. And yeah, I think most of these teams could do with another few laps of caution to make sure they wouldn't have any major difficulties. I think even now it's going to be a stretch for many of them. But the question there from Jamie was a great one to Jan. He was a bit evasive on it, but effectively what the guys do to save fuel is if you spend less time at full throttle, you're going to use a lot less fuel. So what they do is they tend to lift off the gas way before the regular braking area. They brake as deep as they can, so they try and carry the straight line speed as long as they can before they get on the brakes, but they don't hold full throttle all the time. And that is the key here, is to get off the throttle early, but just let the car run carry its momentum until you get on the brakes as deep as you possibly can.
Short shifting, that's still part of the game sometime as well, to not stay in that high rev band as often or as much?
Yep, certainly. And it's just being gentle with the right foot is the biggest thing here. That's the biggest thing you can do to make sure you don't use as much fuel as you would otherwise.
Let's give you a quick rundown of who's where right now. It is in P1. Andy Merrick leading overall, and in P1, Klaus Graf, the Muscle Milk Machine, sitting in second. Tony Burgess, the Dyson Lola Mazda, in third. Fourth overall, your leader in P2, Simon Pagenaud, in the Level 5 machine. But right behind him now, the 0-1 of Guy Cosmo, and Guy Cosmo has driven some blindingly quick stints. In fact, leading late with a great stint at Lime Rock Park. Marino Franchitti, the team level 5 entry, the number 552 entry, is in third in that class, 6th overall. Next up, it's all LMP Challenge cars led by the Performance Tech McDonald's Rickman entry, number 18 of Tristan Nunez, the number 9 of Bruno Junqueira, that's the RSR Racing entry, second. In third, the 52, Mike Gouache. In the Molecule entry, fourth, the 05, Colin Brown, and he's going to be coming back and pressing hard for us, we understand. And in fifth is the number 8, Kyle Marcelli, in the Evident Capital entry from Bar One Motorsports.
So why are we drawn to power? Because we can't stop it.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
We are back here at Road America. Great to have you with us at ALMS.com. Everybody here at the track. Boy, are you enjoying a great battle that has been unfolding. Under caution here for a little bit now, and we hope we will be getting to green here in pretty quick order. 54 minutes and a few seconds remaining in this one. And the big story right now, really, Jeremy, and we were joking about it, but fuel. And the cars that pitted a little while ago, can they make it to the end, particularly the GT machines? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see many of the GT cars into the pit lane. We might see I don't know. I don't think we'll see any of the GT cars, and we might see a couple at the back just to make sure that there is no difficulties. But it's interesting in the prototype ranks, certainly, because number 16 car, the third place overall and in P1, that did come onto the pit lane now, and may conceivably be able to get to the end from here. That'll be interesting. It generally can do about 46, 47 minutes. We've got 53 minutes to go remaining in the race at the moment.
And, of course, our Michelin Green X Challenge update in the prototype division. Now it's the Muscle Milk Picket Racing entry has moved to the point. But look how close those numbers are with Dyson and Level 5 in that mix as well. So very, very close. All total in the 27s. And then we take a look at GT, and it is the 2 Corvettes up there right now. Again, very close numbers, both in the 20s in that total count, the clean, fast, and efficient formula, with Risi sitting in third. And, of course, that was calculated a bit ago, and Risi with that incident in the gravel. But we are back to green right now, and Andy Merrick bringing them up. Klaus Graf wanted to get by, and Andy Merrick, that, I'll tell you, that in a straight line, that Delta Wing can get the job done, and Andy defends to the inside and forcing Klaus to go around the outside. And Merrick, that turn one is a corner that car, the Delta Wing, likes, and he continues to lead. And again, Klaus Graf coming after him. And Andy Merrick, this is for position. He doesn't have to move. Yes, Klaus might ultimately be quicker. That doesn't mean Andy has to just hand it to him on a platter, and he's fighting.
Yeah, and there's a change for lead there in PC. Colin Brown just got past Justin Nunes, I think coming down the hill into turn 3. Ahead of them both, though, is Rusty Mitchell in car number 7, who caused the dramas a little while ago. He made a jump on both of them, so he's now back on the lead lap. He needs another caution period. But it's Colin Brown in the 05 car that leads in PC just ahead of the number 18.
Yeah, and of course he got knocked back into 4th, but the RSR guys, Bruno Junqueira, were among the cars that pitted during that, and so awfully close. And look at this, you've got class leaders all over in this shot. P1, P2, LMP challenge right there, Brown and that blue car of Nunez, and behind them the 2 Corvettes, multi-class racing at Road America. Gotta love it. There they are. And look who is right there in 3rd. Mark Goossens in that number 91 is there, and he has got a good head of steam built up. And Marco Holzer doing a brilliant job in that number 48. Chopard and Total Porsche from Paul Miller Racing. Nicely done with Pat Long in the Composite Resources Core Autosport Porsche. Boy, I'll tell you, the Porsches have always run well here, and they are doing so again. And now Graf just sneaking around. Andy Merrick down into Canada corner and has made the lead change. And Fischl and Klaus Graf in the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing entry leads away. I think we've got, see, we can go back, take a look at exactly how that pass unfolded. Here it is. And yeah, Merrick defending. Klaus, I think it's going to be the old over-under, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed it is, and Andy tried to carry as much speed as he could into the corner, but futile effort there, and there goes Klaus Graf into the lead. But I tell you what, the Delta Wing has been out in front for a fair portion of the race, and certainly turned some great laps. It will need another fuel stop before the end of the race, as will the number 6 car, the overall race leader now, Klaus Graf. But the number 16 car might be. No, I don't think it can quite make it, but it's certainly going to need a lot less fuel on its final stop. So we'll see what sort of pace Tony Burgess can turn in that Dyson Racing car number 16. But this is the battle now well, it isn't actually, because the orange and blue car of Rusty Mitchell is a lap down to the other 2 contenders in PC. So the multicolour blue car is in 2nd place.
But this
ahead of him is Colin Brown.
Yeah, this is a battle that is on. The 2 Corvettes with Goossens on board, the Viper. And he was looking, he was hunting all the way down from the Sarzano Bridge down into turn 5. And this is it for the GT class. And of course, as we said, right behind these guys is Holzer and Long and Martin and Mueller. This last caution, well, we are just in for an outright blast right now, pending fuel.
Yeah, it's it'll be close, but there was about 51 minutes to go when we were back to green flag racing, maybe 52. So it'll be tight, but these guys, you know, they're well on top of their fuel consumption. They know exactly what they're doing, how much they have, how much they're using. So I fancy this will be a flat-out race to the end, race to the finish here. And in GTC as well. I mean, boy, we've got what, 7 cars there.
Yeah.
Pretty much nose to tail. I think that's going to be fabulous to watch as well.
Yeah, it's currently Pumpelly in the 45 leading Bleekum Mullen. Lally has the 27 Tully's Coffee car up to 3rd. Madison Snow 4th. John Edwards in the Momo car 5th in that category. But this is some spectacular stuff in GT out of the Billy Mitchell turn 13. Now over to the left, fold it into turn 14. Keep that angle wide open to give you as much mid-corner and exit speed as you can, and up the hill. Now let's see, Goossens very, very close to the back of Gavin in the number 4. Oh, and an incredibly close moment as that was close as Burgess trying to squeeze by both of them. And that, I think, maybe startled Gavin a little bit, and that has allowed Goossens down the inside, but Gavin going to race him flat out around the outside of turn 1, and now has to tuck back in. And Holzer even thought about it as well.
Yeah.
But boy, Burgess forcing the issue there, and that got Gavin moved offline, and Goossens jumping on that opportunity. Wow.
Very exciting, and a great restart there by Antonio Garcia. Here comes the Paul Miller Porsche pass on the straightaway, because the number 4 Corvette was compromised just a little bit going into turn 3.
Oh,
and hopes
look
to
at the
take full
fight back.
advantage. But yes, back on the inside under braking is Oliver Gavin.
And look at Pat Long thinking about it as well, watching in that 06 Core Autosport machine. Oh, some great stuff here And look at that. That bit of cut and thrust mix and match between the Porsche and the number 4 Corvette has allowed the other Corvette and Goossens to steal a little bit of a march right now.
This is very cool.
Oh, fun.
Great racing here. Patrick Long there, he's in with a shout, isn't he? He's had a lot of success here in the past as well. Wants to do the same for Core Autosport. There he is, the car coming through the carousel right now in 5th place in GT.
Some great stuff. And now you got Bruno Junqueira, who's trying to get back into the LMP Challenge battle, is going to come work his way through this group as well. And there is one of our 2 of our P2 cars. And trying to see, I think that's Guy Cosmo and Marino Franchitti right at the back as they are heading down in here. There it is, Cosmo trying to find a way around. Let's see. No, wasn't able to do it there, but that is going to be some fierce stuff as well. And Goossens continues to close up on the back of Antonio Garcia in the Corvette. And watch this here. There's Junqueira. Then those 2 P2 cars, the black level 5 entry, and coming up with him right now is the 01 of Cosmo. This is going to be interesting. We might have a little bit of an incident here, just a little bit of rubbing in GTC. We'll talk about that in a moment, just trying to watch how this unfolds. Cosmo trying to take advantage of this traffic, Jeremy, and figure out a way to move up and get around this 552 of Franchitti.
What a battle this is for 2nd place in P2. The 551 car for Level 5 Motorsport is out ahead of these guys by a goodly margin because Simon Pagenaud did not make a pit stop during that last period. He knew, or the team knew, he still needed one more pit stop to get to the end of the race. He's just going to do this race on a 2-stop strategy as a plan for the number 551 car. So Simon Pagenaud has to boogie. He has to get the foot down and go as fast as he possibly can to pull out enough of an advantage to make that pit stop and still retain the lead.
And right now his margin is about, call it 25 seconds. He's got to those 2 guys, Franchitti and Cosmo. I don't know that that's going to be enough with that long run down pit lane here. So you're right. It's get after it.
So the question is then, can the number 552 and or the 01 get to the end without making an additional fuel stop? I doubt it.
And oh, look at this. You can see Goossens, the front end giving up just a little bit there. He had to breathe out of the throttle to get the weight back on the nose. Keep an eye to your right. Yeah, there goes Guy Cosmo. You knew he was going to come through. He's lost a little bit of time in the exchange here. And as he is trying now to run Marino Franchitti back down as we head down into Canada. There comes Bruno Junqueira down to the inside. And Goossens letting him go. Oh, this is great stuff.
It is. Yeah, great onboard footage here from the Viper, number 91 car of Mark Goossens. And all this that's been going on here that's enabled Antonio Garcia to pull out 10, 12, 15 car lengths over the Viper. So this is Chevy leads coming up now underneath the Caterpillar Bridge to complete lap 45 for the GT cars. They're a lap behind the overall leaders. They completed 46. But this battle, we've got 44 minutes remaining in this race, and there'll be a lot more action before it's all over.
2nd and a half officially at the line between Garcia and Goossens as we now go back and check in GTC. Currently it is Spencer Pumpelly in that number 45 Venezuela E-Silicon Lizards Porsche, and we are riding on board with Spencer, the pole sitter, but the 22 of Jerome Bleekemolen in that WeatherTech car right there in 2nd. Here's your points right now, and you can see Canache and Pumpelly, it says -0. They're tied. 4 drivers in those 2 teams tied, and then 9 points back is Enrique Cisneros. And that is your battle in GT Challenge. And look at this move as Edwards trying to get around Madison Snow. Madison in that black and blue highlighted TRG car with Kenda Tire. That's a personal sponsor of Jeff Courtney. And Jeff said there was actually another driver supposed to be in that car. That didn't work out, and they put a deal together to get Madison in that car. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, the 17-year-old. Here we are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in GTT. Coming down straight away towards turn 5. 68 car there. The blue and black car. That is Madison Snow. 17 years of age. Exactly, the same age as Tristan Nunez, as we see Sean Edwards trying to make a move down the inside of Madison Snow into turn 5. Was he able to make it past? Yes, he was just.
Now watch what happened here. Real quick, we're going to take a look. We talked about a little argy-bargy. There's the 22. Bleekemolen had the lead. There goes Lally. Watch this. And a little bit of bump and grind right there, and Pumpelly jumped on it and made the move and came up. And apparently they gave Bleekemolen a furled black flag, which is a watch what you're doing. They said that he basically drove Lally off the outside edge of the track, apparently. And so he's got a warning under his belt right now, still runs second.
Yeah, I think fair to say that Bleekemolen ushered Andy Lally off onto the grass, but the beneficiary was Spencer Pumpelly. Threw into the lead. He is now, and trying to take advantage. Once again, it's a great first stint by Nelson Canache Jr., the Venezuelan, in the wheel of the number 45 Flying Lizard car. But this battle is just tremendous, and Jeroen Bleekemolen trying to maintain his unbeaten record right here at Road America.
Did you see all three of these lead cars in GT Challenge going through the kink, carrying big lurid slides up and over the exit curbing? You've got to be committed and gifted to carry a slide like that and float it up and over the curbs. And Simon Pagenaud has brought the level 5 car in, Jamie.
And it will be the last pit stop for Simon Pagenaud, and it was a pretty fast one too. I was talking to their strategist and lead engineer Jeff Braun this morning. He told me they could do 45 minutes, and with only 42 minutes remaining in this race, that would have been the last stop, and it was a clean one for Level 5 Motorsports.
And right out in front of our lead battle in GT Challenge, and Pagenaud obviously now just trying to get those tires up to temp and not affect these guys too much. And Pumpelly may have been held up, and this could be Bleekemolen's opportunity as he comes up. He's going to have to do it the long way around. Pumpelly is going to try and fight for that inside all he can. And as Bleekemolen gets up now, that side draft goes back into Pumpelly's favor. He's got the inside now. Jeroen going to fight the outside line. Does he get ushered off? Not so much.
That's interesting, isn't it? Pumpelly clearly left Bleekemolen there a car width on the outside. Really heads up driving by Spencer Pumpelly. Whether they told him that Bleekemolen, well, he probably saw that
that's what he made the pass with.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I'm not going to fall into that trap. So great driving there by Spencer Pumpelly.
And, of course, that little bit of side-by-side action has allowed Lally to latch onto the back of that white WeatherTech Porsche from Alex Job Racing. There is Lally in that silver Tully's number 27 Dempsey Del Piero machine. It's Tully's Coffee. He heard that company was under threat, Tully's Coffee, of being bought and being pretty much just disbanded, and some 500 employees would be without work. And Patrick Dempsey said, no, I'll buy that, and we'll keep that company running. Class act, Mr. Dempsey.
Yeah, it certainly is. And as a result of that, you can see Simon Pagenaud nowhere to be seen now. He's flat out mode now to the end of the race. I don't think there's any way that the 552 and or the 01 can get to the end without making another pit stop, but they will only need a splash at the end of the race. So that's the good news. The bad news is, as we heard earlier in the show, it's a very long pit lane here at Road America, and to keep down to that speed limit that is in place on pit lane, it eats up a lot of time.
And once he got around Madison Snow, Sean Edwards has reeled in that trio up in front, and now starting to fill the mirrors of Andy Lally and that Momo NGT red number 30 sitting in fourth as they head down into turn one. Classic GT Challenge action here. And Road America, we've talked about it all weekend in so many scenarios. For some reason, this track promotes incredibly close finishes across the board. Certainly overall, last year, the all-time smallest margin of victory for an overall race here at Road America. But in the classes, it's incredibly close.
It is. You talk about the all-time closest margin of victory, just 0.083 of a second last year was the margin with which Dyson Racing beat Muscle Racing. Well, the previous year, the boot was on the other foot, and the Muscle car won by a massive 0.112 seconds. So, the margin of victory of the last 2 years combined is less than 0.2 of a second.
Well, the average, this was a stat that blew me away. The last 8 races, the average margin of victory for the last 8 races overall, 1.2 seconds. That's stunning stuff. And we're seeing that play out here in GT Challenge. We're seeing that kind of close racing in the GT category. Garcia continues to lead over Goossens by 0.6 of a second. Then another second and a half back to Ollie Gavin, who's got huge pressure still for Marco Holzer and Pat Long in that mix. Some great stuff. In the P2 category right now, your leader is Marino Franchitti with Guy Cosmo. They're separated by about a second. I mean, every class here, very close, including LMP Challenge, where Colin Brown, actually he's got the biggest margin right now of just about 10 seconds over Tristan Nunez in LMP Challenge. But otherwise, it's close stuff.
Yeah, it is, and I'm assuming that Charlie Shears drove the middle stint in this race. I didn't see see that on the timing and scoring, but Nunez, either that happened or the scoring isn't correct and Charlie Shears is driving the car now. It's I don't really know which way that is, but I fancy maybe Charlie drove the middle stint, and Tristan is going to finish it. But yeah, about 10 seconds between those two at the moment, and Colin Brown going best part of a second quicker on the last lap around in that 0.5 car.
Yeah, Colin, in terms of outright pace in LMP Challenge, you look at the poles he's put together, this was his 5th. I mean, it's just a pretty remarkable run he's had this year.
Tell you what, I think we're looking at a PC car on a overall podium here, which is going to be pretty impressive.
Oh boy, isn't it? That's absolutely right. As he sits 3rd right now, behind Groff and Andy Merrick in the Delta Wing. And trying to see here, the margin between Franchitti and Cosmo in P2 has come down just a little bit. So Cosmo continuing to throw down some very fast laps. And as a matter of fact, the last lap, he took half a second off. This lap, he took, again, half a second off of Marino Franchitti. So Cosmo is starting to close it up. But boy, this is such a great race here. This is for the final podium spot in GT Challenge. Sean Edwards and Andy Lally, 2 of the best.
You're right, but Guy Cosmo, Marino Franchitti isn't really dicing for the lead here overall, it has to be said, because the 551 car, Marino admitted at the top of the show, it's the 551 car that they want to score maximum points. That is the car driven by Simon Pagenaud and the team owner Scott Tucker. And if they do score maximum points, that will move Scott Tucker 1 point ahead of Marino Franchitti in the championship standings. So for Marino here, part of his job, I think it probably has to be said, is just to keep Guy Cosmo behind him and enable Simon Pagenaud to reduce that deficit. Simon's already made his final stop. We think the 552 and the 0-1 of Guy Cosmo will have to make another pit stop. So if Marino can keep him to a sensible to a pace, then Simon Pagenaud is going to close up in any case. Last time around, Pagenaud was a second faster.
And we're watching Andy Lally in huge defense mode right now, Jamie. And Patrick Dempsey started this race off, did a great stint himself.
And Patrick Dempsey, double duty here. He's both the team owner as well as the driver, but you're also in your 10th season of taping on Grey's Anatomy. What's it like for you to have to come out here and race and then watch these intense battles here?
I just keep thinking I hope I miss my flight home tonight so I can call it and tell them I'm not going to make it tomorrow morning so we can get on the podium. But yeah, it's been a tough week. I worked all week on Grey's. Took a red eye in Thursday night and just got a little bit of track time on Friday, and it's hard, to get up to speed with everybody else who's been here all week long. But we had a good run for the most part, made a couple mistakes early on, but overcame those. Andy's doing a great job in the car right now. I mean, this is a great class. It's a great series. The competition is just so tight, and it's very exciting for the fans and for us and to compete out there.
Now, I know that you particularly love coming here to Road America. You like the town of Elkhart Lake. I was walking through town and I saw a photo on a window of guest or dessert. Yvonne, she's a special guest here with you.
Yes, Yvonne, she's back there right now. If you get a picture of her, she hasn't been here to this racetrack since the 50s. So we brought her out, and it's changed a lot since she was here last time.
I saw her in the pits earlier. Big smile on her face. You guys are right in the thick of the battle today.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
And they are, and as he sits right there, you can see Andy Lally hanging on to that 3rd spot, and Colin Brown into the pits.
That is our PC leader.
And doing a tire change, Kelly.
It should be the final stop, that is, for Colin Brown, who led the PC field 3rd overall. A bit of a stall there getting it underway. That car started from pole, 4 pole positions in 6 races for that team. They finished 1-2 last year, and now they'd like to finish back on top of that podium again today.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Now the question is where he slots in. And at that stop, I think we had Nunez some 10 seconds behind. And so Nunez now should comfortably take the lead. It all comes down to where Colin slots back in and what happens as the rest of this race unfolds. From your perspective, do we think Nunez needs to stop again, or is he good?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either on that.
I think he probably does, because neither of them pitted during the last caution period. Those first 2 in PC did not stop during that last caution period.
And we have a new leader in GT. Mark Goosens has taken the point from Antonio Garcia in that yellow, Velocity Yellow number 3 CompuWare Corvette. So Goosens on the pace here right now. And boy, I tell you, that car has been through the war. Look at the damage to the right rear. You see dive plane missings on the right front. And nonetheless, boy, that car is just working here. And I think we've got to look at how that unfolded, Jeremy. You could take us through the pass that he put on to move into the class lead.
Yeah, so looking coming down the back straightaway towards turn 5 on board with the Viper. Antonio Garcia kind of in the middle of the track there, and Goosens then commits himself down to the inside, braked good and deep and late, and really nice driving there from Mark Goosens. Very incisive pass. The previous lap around, he just turned, I think, was the fastest lap on the race in GT. That was a 2 minutes 6.366. Looking down the order here, 2 minutes 2.6.0 was set by Kuno Wittmer a couple of laps ago as well in the other Viper. So boy, but it's close. There's various other guys in that same second bracket as well.
Boy, look at this battle here. There comes your overall race leader, Klaus Graf. But the Viper, 2 Corvettes, Chopard Porsche, the Core Porsche, Maxime Martin in the BMW, Dirk Mueller in the BMW, and all covered by the proverbial blanket. This is why this class is considered generally to be the best racing category on the planet because they put on a show like this.
Yeah, look at them all in the string there. The 2 Corvettes and the 2 Porsches with the number 48 car ahead of the 06 car, and not too far back down the road either is I think the first of the BMW, or both the BMWs actually. They're only about maybe a couple of seconds behind the 2 Porsches, so it's kind of 2 by 2 now. We've got the Viper out in front, then 2 Corvettes, then the 2 Porsches, and then the 2 BMWs.
And the 48, Marco Holzer, pole sitter in GT last year, running with a different team. So he certainly has the capability for speed around here. We know Patrick Long's credentials, the only U.S. Porsche factory driver. Couple of wins here. Pagenaud down underneath as he is trying to keep this pace alive and get back into a position here. It is Franchitti, by the way, leading in the P2 class, Cosmo second, and then Pagenaud sitting in the 3rd spot right now. Remember, the 4th car in the category, the 02 ESM Patron entry, had issues with that fire and is out of the race. So it's down to the 3 cars. But Cosmo and Franchitti, boy, having a good one. That lap, though, Cosmo, I don't know if he hit traffic or what, but he lost 2 full seconds to Marino Franchitti as we go back to this battle here. Young Marco Holzer, one of the factory drivers. And the way, the way Porsche goes about that, they have factory drivers and then they place them with various teams that are partners for BMW or for Porsche, and doing a great job. Speaking of the BMWs, as I just did inadvertently, we go back and pick them up. So again, always nice when our director makes us look good. And they're back in the order just a little bit, but that doesn't mean they're out of it, Kelly. We're getting reports that this may be a strategy move.
And I told you that Bill Auberland said it was going to take that pit strategy and a little bit of luck. They've got their fingers crossed now. When I asked them if they were going to have to come in again to get a splash of fuel, they told me the last caution helped them. It's going to be tight, but they think they are good to go on fuel.
I concur with that, but what's interesting to me is they're all turning their fastest laps of the race right now. So they all I think they all must think they can, they either can or they can't get to the end, because I think they're all on the same strategy, and I fancy they will be able to. We went back to green with about 51 minutes to go in the race, and they'd run for about 10 minutes or more under caution. So I fancy they're going to be okay, and these guys now are absolutely flat out.
All right, well, that's going to make it compelling. We're well under 30 minutes, down to 28.5 minutes remaining in this 6th round of the championship. So the racing is fierce, and it's going to really make it awfully close here. We are looking forward to this, and so to set us up for a run to the finish, we're going to step away here very quickly. And Forza Motorsport 4 features top American Le Mans Series tracks and cars like Porsche, Ferrari, Corvette, BMW, Aston Martin, and more. Check it out at ForzaMotorsports.net. That is Forza Motorsport 4. Enjoy that, and come back here to ALMS.com as you take a look at our 5 class leaders. We're going to take you to the end here at Road America. It's going to be a barn burner.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Labor Day weekend, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron returns to the streets of Baltimore. Watch the world's most exotic sports cars battle it out around the Inner Harbor. Information available at GrandPrixOfBaltimore.com.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
We are back here at ALMS.com. We are back at Road America, the 6th round of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. And the Muscle Milk team is in. Let's get down to Jamie.
And this will be the final pit stop for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing. They do have tires out, but it looks like it might be rolling, and it was very quick. Last drop already back underway.
That's well executed. That is what you call a short fill and in and out in a hurry.
Yeah, and number 18 car also on pit lane there. The Performance Tech Motorsports car that was leading after the 05 for Autosport came onto pit lane. That put the 18 car into the lead, and the pit stop now for the number 18 will cycle Bruno Junqueira for RSR Racing, kind of a 9 into the lead of PC by about 4 seconds over Kyle Marcelli in the Bar 1 Motorsports car number 8.
And we'll see where Nunez slots in. The monitors score him in 3rd right now, but we'll have to wait for a lap to really settle in to see. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can find the pace to go after somebody who's got the speed of Bruno Junqueira in that class. This is a look at what happened last year, and that was that big move. Now watch, though, as a great counter move by Guy Smith, and the power of that Mazda turbo, the way he did the over-under, it just drove him up.
Highest level, racing becomes chess. Last year we saw Lucas Luhr get into the corner when a gap presents itself, runs himself wide, preventing him from getting to the throttle. That's going to make him slow down the straightaway. Guy Smith's line, he goes into the corner. Now imagine right now, as he runs wide, the Muscle Milk car shoots to the inside, but Guy goes for a later apex, mathematically allowing him to get to the throttle sooner, being faster down the straight.
So Johnny O'Connell giving us a bit of a look at the different lines that were utilized to result in the closest ever margin of victory in the American Le Mans Series right here last year.
Yeah, that was a fantastic finish. It was so exciting. And we're looking at the GT, the 2 Corvettes coming across the line here to complete another lap. This is lap 55 in the books for them. But Mark Goossens, boy, he has been flying out in front here. And he's pulled out a pretty healthy margin now, a couple of seconds over the 2 Corvettes. And Marco Holzer hanging in there in 3rd place with Patrick Long. Well, again, right there, you see the 2 Corvettes and the 2 Porsches coming down the hill into turn 3, and then a gap of about, 50 yards back to the 2 BMWs. They're very closely matched.
Now, we've been talking about fuel scenarios throughout the field. Jamie, what are you hearing?
Well, you see the two yellow Corvettes, number 3 and the number 4. I checked in with the team, and they say, yeah, we're going to stop for fuel, but it's going to be in about 23 minutes. This race checkers in 22 and a half, so they think that both of those cars will make it to the finish. But further up pit lane for the Vipers, the number 93, they're good to go on fuel, but the 91, it's going to come down to 3 laps. So if we get another caution period, perhaps they can make it, but right now they're not.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think the Viper, the V10 engine, a little bit more thirsty than some of these other contenders. So I think if they reckon they're shy, then they could be trying to lead us up the garden path here. But certainly, I think generally speaking, the Viper is not quite as fuel efficient at this stage as the very, very well developed Chevy Corvettes. But 21 minutes to go. If there's another caution period, certainly that would pay into the favour of SRT Viper and Mark Goossens in that car number 91.
Interesting here as we ride on board to the 56 of Dirk Mueller, your point leader, but sitting in 7th place. And the team that currently leads, or that he's leading in the points, is the car that sits in the 3rd spot, Ollie Gavin and Tommy Milner, with the Garcia and Magnussen number 3 Corvette in pretty close order. So right now this is not where Mueller wants to be, but I guess the question comes down to, we've heard, are these guys maybe just conserving that fuel a little bit, thinking that the others might not be in such great shape and are making sure they can get to the finish? Because the last thing you want when you're leading in the points is to end up short and then lose a boatload of points as you're parked over at the exit of the carousel out of gas with a lap or 2 to go.
Yeah, that certainly would not be a good plan. Now the GT leaders working their way through some traffic here in GTC, passing there Dion von Moltke, who's running in 6th place in the class. You can see just ahead of the 2 Corvettes here is the number 11 car, the Hertz Porsche JDX Racing. That will be Jan Halen 5th in GTC.
That long run, turn 3, climbing that hill, little bend here, there, and then falling down. This is one of the most difficult braking zones in motorsport, I think, because it is just a high speed, and you drop down an abrupt hill, and you've got to be dancing and delicate on those brakes to not lock them up. You don't have gravity working for you like you do in an uphill braking zone. That's why there's a lot of runoff down there at the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, we've seen some good pace from these guys, certainly, and in the GTC guys as well. It's so closely matched. The new fastest lap of the race was set by, I tell you what, the top 4 cars covered in fastest laps by less than a 1/10 of a second. I think Spencer Pumpelly turned the best up on lap 46, so about 6-7 laps ago. The 2 minutes 13.6. Also a 13.6 was Blekemolen, 13.7s for both Sean Edwards and Andy Lally, and car numbers 30 and 27. And a 13.8 for Madison Snow in 68, so nothing to choose between those guys.
But Pat Long trying to take advantage of Holzer running up behind Jan Halen, and it balked Holzer, and Pat thought about it and gave it a look going into the kink. That's why he got the hole here. They made it work, but wow.
Looking again there at turn 13 is Patrick Long trying to get past a lot of pride here amongst the Porsche guys here. They want to get themselves on the podium, but if they can't do that, they at least want each of them wants to finish ahead of the other. But now I think the 2 BMWs closing in as well. Just a quick additional note on that GTC. These are lap record paces in GTC. The lap record stood last year to Damien Faulkner at a 2 minutes 14.2. And unfortunately his car was out of this race very early. That problem for Ben Keating. But the lap record pace in GTC.
Yeah, it is fast and furious as it is in GT. Jonathan Kuno Whitmer just getting around the 56 of Mueller. And as the BMW is working by this number 11 JDX Hertz machine, and Whitmer just got a huge run.
We really need to save some fuel. Go to KDS4.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
So I think the BMWs might be a little handicapped here on their fuel numbers.
Yeah, and Kuno Whitmer, I think at 93 car, I believe he made an additional pit stop.
He did,
right before we went back to green, didn't he? So he's good to go, they're saying, and he's turning some blinding laps. He has set the fastest lap of the race in GT, Kuno Whitmer. That was a little while ago. He turned a 2 minutes 5.990. He's the only guy below 2 minutes 6 in the GT ranks, and well, pretty much everybody else is in the 2-minute 60s, so it's oh so close. But this car got the pole position. Jonathan Bomarito put it on the pole. Their strategy, has been not quite perfect. I mean, it's awfully difficult with the way the cautions fall, but they're driving a great race, these two, in that number 93 car. It was a breakthrough performance for them at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a few weeks ago, and that car is flying because he's made up quite a deficit on these BMWs, and Kuno Whitmer now has his sights set first of all on the other BMW, that is the number 55 car, and then the two Porsches are not far ahead of those two either.
We just got a report over the radio that both the Porsches are saying that they're now iffy on fuel, and so that's going to be interesting. And the proof in the pudding that Kuno is just flat footing it everywhere through the carousel. He left a big black mark as he had that big Viper crossed up through the carousel on the hammer, and so he is going to push for everything he is worth. There is Holzer. That is the first car on your screen. Then the Core Autosport Porsche of Long. Then the BMW right behind them of the 55 Maxime Martin. And then coming is Kuno Whitmer. And traffic, he had a good lap. He made up some ground on cars, but he did get slowed up a little bit in traffic to the two cars in front. But on clear track, he is flying right now as we go back on board with Ollie Gavin, currently running in the third spot in the number 4 Corvette.
And this is what the Corvette needs to do, is to finish ahead of the BMWs.
Yeah.
In the Manufacturers' Championship, Corvette held a 10-point margin over BMW coming into this race. In the Teams' Championship, Corvette Racing held a 12-point advantage over BMW Rahal Lanigan Racing team.
We're both going to run red 9, both us and the 4 car, until the Porsches catch back up to Gavin.
And the reason for that discrepancy, the 2-point discrepancy there, is that points are scored very slightly differently in the Manufacturers' Championship and the Teams' Championship. In the Manufacturers' Championship, it's just the best placed car for each mark that scores points. In the Teams, though, they're just according to their position
combined
overall.
Finishes too.
Overall.
Overall.
So
okay.
if the Corvettes finish second and third, let's say, in the Teams' Championship, they'll score second place points, and whoever finishes fourth will score fourth place points. But in the Manufacturers' Championship, Corvette will get second place points, and whoever finishes fourth behind the two Corvettes will actually get third place points.
Okay.
So there's that slight discrepancy there, but basically it boils down to there's an awful lot to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard a radio call there, and I think that was it was with the vets, and it was telling them basically, I think, you're going to drive to a certain fuel number here. We're going to run a pace until that Viper catches up to the Porsches. They know that Viper is good, and they know that the other folks right now are a little bit iffy, and I think they're just playing their cards close to the chest, but know what they've got. Goossens, as we now are into the final 15 minutes, continues to lead. But once again, we are not at all confident that he can get to the finish. Oh, Sean Edwards running way wide as he is doing everything he can to improve a spot here in this great GTC battle.
That's right, because the GT leaders now working their way through the GTC cars. This on board here with the number 91 car, which leads in GT. Ahead of us, down on the road, going down into turn 5, is a GTC. Is that the Flying Lizard car, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is a leader in GTC right ahead of us now. Right behind the number 91 car is a second place car. That's about 2 seconds back is Jerome Blekemolen. And right behind Jerome Blekemolen in car number 22 is the number 30 car of Sean Edwards.
Good stuff. And you can see that these GT Challenge cars here at Road America with these long straights, they can hang on for a long time on a GT car. Then you get down into the braking zone where that extra downforce from the aerodynamics that the GT cars have allow a Goossens to sneak through and pick that spot up, and that's what he needs. He needs to open the margin up as much as possible, because we're thinking he may yet need to stop. These two guys, boy, it'll be close, but reports are that they think they might be okay to the finish. But we think we might. That doesn't sound awfully compelling in terms of confidence, does it?
No, that's right.
Oh, we're getting a report that Cosmo is going to head down pit lane, apparently.
Yeah, I expected that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we'll see the number 552 car into pit lane as well. And that they got a margin of about 45 seconds over Simon Pagenaud in the 551 car. I don't think that's quite going to be enough. You lose, I think, a little bit over 30 seconds just coming onto the pit lane. So I'm sure the 552 and the 01, they're separated currently by not very much, actually, about 3/4 of a second. But this pit stop is going to be very, very interesting.
On board with the number 4 here of Gavin, as we've got a couple of different categories slicing by, the LMP Challenge car and the second overall car, Tony Burgess in the Dyson Lola Mazda right there, as they come up on our leader in GT Challenge, Spencer Pumpelly. And there's Guy Cosmo bringing the 01, 4th overall, 2nd in class. And Guy Cosmo bringing that car down. This should be a very quick stop. Let's head down to Kelly.
And we see the first team that needs to come in for a splash of fuel. It's the 01 Extreme Speed Motorsports HPD. They were 2nd in the P2 category. And Guy Cosmo fails to get it fired up straight away, so a little bit longer, but there's the splash of fuel. Obviously, they're good to go. We'll have to wait and see if anyone else in the P2 needs to come back in and get that last splash.
Great stuff, Kelly. That was about a 5.5 second worth of fuel there, but it took Guy another at least 2 seconds to get that engine fired up and underway again. And who knows how costly that might be.
Yeah, and you don't know that it was that just a little communications issue, or whether we've seen some of these cars that just a little bit difficult on the restart with these engines so hot.
Yeah, and we're on board here with Marino Franchitti in the number 552. He's 3rd place overall. Behind only the number 6 and the number 16 car of Tony Burgess. Dyson Racing, they've done a nice job this afternoon, but I think Marino Franchitti owes us a pit stop as well. Whether it be in this lap or the next one, we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, and Marino, boy, deep on the brakes here. Coming out of Canada corner. Has one of the LMP Challenge cars right in front. I believe that's the Dragon Speed entry. And let's see, what is he going to do? Jeremy, you say you think he needs to make a stop. Will he now? That Cosmo is pitted. Will he take this opportunity? Or will he stay out? And looks like he is in.
Yes, he is.
Oh, and this could really slow him up a little bit. Oh boy.
No, well, I mean, they both have to break down to the same minimum speed limit in there, and Renger van der Zande looked like he was breaking pretty late coming up there into the pit lane.
True, yeah.
There is the 01 car now. Now he comes through the kink. He's made his final pit stop. Here is Marino. He wants to get the other car out of the way, but I'm sure he's doing the same speed. It shows how intense Marino is. He's a real racer. He's so passionate about the sport. He wants to win this motor race.
Exactly, and he didn't want that car. I think it may have been simple visibility. Get out of my way. I want to see that pit. I want to know where I've got to be. Here he comes. He is in, and we are ready. And Jamie looks to be down there and ready to go.
And this will be a fuel-only time pit stop. I'm counting about 8 seconds worth of fuel. The last time these guys were in was with 50 minutes remaining in the race. They only have a 45-minute fuel window, so this was crucial, and it was fast.
This is going to be the run. Cosmo coming up around the outside, and he's by. Guy Cosmo through, and that was less fuel going in, but he, too, had a little struggle getting that restarted, didn't he?
It was a little bit, it's about the same amount of fuel, about 5.5 seconds I counted it, but what was interesting though is it took about 3 seconds to get over the wall and get the fuel probe actually into the side of into the receptacle there on the race car. Oh no,
a full course caution, Jan Halen.
Man.
That is a substantial off, running at the time 5th in GT Challenge in the JDX Hertz Racing Porsche. Wow. And trying to look at where that is.
Is that turn 1?
No, I don't think that. Usually, I think that might be more. I was looking more Canada corner, possibly. We'll have to see. But boy, there is a concerned crew. They're glad to see the driver out and walking away for sure.
So fourth full course caution. There's only there's less than 9 minutes to go in the race. Jan Helen is out of that car. You can see how frustrated he is. He looks to be fine, but a major disappointment for JDX Racing. Had a good run going here, trying to get. They're running in 5th place.
And is this what Mark Goossens needed, or what? Well, possibly?
Yeah,
wow. That was huge, because we knew. I mean, of all the cars in this GT battle, we knew the one that probably absolutely had to stop without some help was Goossens. We knew the one that would not have to stop at all with confidence was the team car, number 93. And boy, this may have been the gift for Mark Goossens. And you know what? All of those drivers in that team are phenomenal. But there would be, in a sense, some poetic justice if this works. And I'm not saying it's going to, but if this fans out and the number 91 gets the win, to have Mark Goossens get the first win for this new program, because he has been so instrumental in the development and testing of these cars and making this package what it is. Yeah,
Riley Technologies have done all of the development on this SRT Viper, and Mark Goossens has been with Riley Technologies, as you say, for a long, long time.
And an interesting little development here, taking a look at the P2 category. Pagano was able to get by both Cosmo and Franchitti in that pit stop exchange, and so he finds himself in the lead. And boy, this is playing right into the level 5 plans, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that would happen. He didn't. He driven a super stint at Simon in that last stint before.
Yep.
He made hay while he could, because he was out on a clear track. He was able to turn a series of fast laps, and that is one of the few cars in a race that have only made 2 pit stops, certainly the prototype cars anyhow, to make it on 2 pit stops. And so hats off there to Level 5 and the chief strategist there, the technical director, also of that team, Jeff Brown, the father, incidentally, of Colin Brown, who is running, where is he running now, Colin? 4th place in PC.
And now we have 6.5 minutes remaining, and the pace car just coming out. I'm really struggling to see how. There they are. There's the first black car is Pagano leading in the class with the red helmet, then the Porsche, then Cosmo second, and right behind him Franchitti in third. But as I was saying, the size of that impact, and not knowing for sure exactly where that was, I just couldn't tell from the corner. But with 6 minutes remaining, I'm not confident we're going to get back to green.
No, that would certainly be a shame, because
yes, it would.
We've had a fabulous race up until now, and in many of the classes too. And Bruno Junqueira now is shown as 3rd place overall in the PC class, leading the PC class, 3rd place overall, car number 9 for RSR Racing. Boy, they've deserved that, because they had a fabulous win, dominant win at Lime Rock Park 2 races ago, looking to do the same thing last time out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Unfortunately, had a failure during the pit stop. It didn't come to pass there. They slipped way back down the order, but now they've called a great strategy once again. They're the Genelozzi family, this family-run team from Lansing, Michigan. So they've got all their sums right, and Bruno Junqueira and Duncan Endy have done a fine job once again for that team.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen those great stints for Duncan in the last couple of races, overshadowed just a little bit in this one by Tristan Nunez, who obviously started that car and was wicked quick for the 18 in the early going. But Duncan, nonetheless, kept that car right where it needed to be, and has that in very well placed for a potential win here. The question is, what's going to happen in terms of the caution?
That's right. Well, we're at 4.5 minutes to go now in this race, and I think it's going to be unlikely to get this wreckage cleared up and get the race back into green flag conditions before the end, which should certainly be a shame for a huge crowd we got on hand here all weekend. Super enthusiasm for the combined sports car series being here this weekend for the very first time, and of course they will be on a full-time basis under the United Sports Car Racing banner in 2014. But there is that forlorn number 11 car, which is nobody around it. That's curious.
Yeah, I wonder if they're thinking it's way off track, and now that the driver is safe, are we going to maybe go back to green here for a quick run? So pass around is commencing, so there's some confidence. Maybe. This is interesting.
Yeah, we did the pass around in the last couple of minutes of the race, but we are doing so. That's going to take a little bit more time while everybody cycles around to the back of the field here, because I'm sure the pace car, the safety car, is going kind of as slow as it can to try and enable everybody to pull on around. But we've seen some cars just go past the leaders to get back onto the lead lap just a few minutes ago. So I think unless we can get everybody around and go back to green this time for a green and white flag at the same time, I think we might be out of luck. We've got 3 minutes just over to go, and the cars aren't yet at Canada Corner.
Well, if it holds like this, one of the great performances today is the RSR team, Genelozzi's family, and that program will be on the podium overall in an LMP Challenge car. that's no mean achievement. And it's a shame that we weren't able to go, because Andy Myrick had been lapping not as fast as Graf, but significantly quicker than the number 16 car. There may have been a good battle yet for the podium. All right, we get the report. White flag coming out this time by, and we are going to finish under caution. That is a shame, but that happens certainly in racing on occasion. You have an incident late in the going like this, and that was a pretty big off. So sometimes that's just how it unfolds. So you can see some good congratulations to the Corvette boys. They're thinking about points, and that's what they wanted to have planned out. But how about it? Might just see the first win for the Viper.
Yeah, wow, wouldn't that be cool? They've certainly deserved it. They've done an amazing job over this past 12 months, and the Battery Tender Hard Charger Award is going to go to the number 0 Delta Wing, Catherine Legg and Andy Merritt. The very first finish for that car. And hats off to all that team there, all the guys down in Georgia. They've worked so hard, guys and girls down in Georgia, I should say, working on the engine, on the chassis, and everything else. It's a massive amount of work that they put together. And to come away with a podium finish here, a properly earned podium finish, a very strong race in which they led a goodly portion of it down to strategy, but also great driving from Catherine Legg and Andy Merrick.
I think that's the hard charger part, isn't it?
Yeah,
The team were absolutely spot on in terms of strategy, maximizing every opportunity, knowing that they probably were, they needed monstrous help to be able to really have a shot at a win, but playing their cards as best they could to put them in that position. And then the drives those two drivers put in that car were hard charging and defined it. That's well earned.
Yeah, and on board here with the number 91 Viper, Mark Gooston's going to try and bring that home. A great first stint by Dominic Farnbacher. He had some damage on at very, very early stages, but the crew was able to tape everything back together again, and the car ran flawlessly from there. There is our PC to Bruno Junqueira, along, and as we said, with Duncan Endy for RSR Racing.
You see all that discoloration around that front wheel? That's an idea of how hard you use the brakes at Road America, because that is all brake dust.
Yeah.
They are on them hard here because they're on the throttle for such long stretches, and then you got to get down on get that speed woe down, and you are on the brakes hard here at this track. So, well, that's an interesting finish here to the 6th round of the championship. Not exactly what we wanted, and we'd love to see the green flag finish, but up until that moment, some fantastic racing.
Yeah, really, and we're on board there briefly with the number 45 car, Spencer Pumpelly. He's finally going to come away with a win here. He's led all 3 races he's competed in this weekend, and he's going to get the win, it looks like now, for Flying Lizard Racing.
Well, while we're on this slow final lap, we're going to check into the pits with some happy people, I'm sure.
Just
Kelly?
getting a quick word with Dominic Farnbacher, co-driver from the 91, because no one really seems to be celebrating here at SRT Viper. He said it's going to be really, really close on fuel. I said, even with this caution? He said, yes, so fingers still crossed over here at SRT.
Wow, look at that face. They are concerned, to be sure. And, they had said that it was maybe they were 3 laps short on green, and we got right down to the end of it here. And they were willing to roll the dice, apparently, because I think they were going to wait till it stumbled and then bring it in and just see where it sussed out. But if a caution came up late, why not? And go for it, and who knows, boy, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the bad news, the concerning bit is from Canada corner all the way to the finish line is uphill.
Yes.
I mean, he's in 5th gear now, he's using as few revs as he can. He needs to keep up with the pace car. He doesn't want to be dropping too far back. We're just listening to the onboard here. And,
not hearing a stumble, but
there's a lot of praying going on inside that helmet right now, I think.
I think so, and you hear that little bit of knocking. That's high gear knock. That's low rev, high gear, just doing anything he can to try and bring it home. Boy, this is nail-biting stuff when you're that concerned. I mean, you can see he is going so slow, just trying to bring it. And the guys in the other cars behind him are radioing, hey, is he going, falling below pace car speed? Because, what's the penalty scenario on that? Everybody's playing their political card when they can. Here we go at the line. Checker flag flies. Klauskraft bringing the win home. Tony Burgess second in P1. And then here we go. Does he make it in GT?
Thank you, guys.
The radio said it all. Viper has their first win in the new era of SRT Motorsports. That is incredible. Garcia and Gavin, second and third. Wow. We will be right back.
Don't miss the action as sports cars of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron return to the twists and turns of Virginia International Raceway. The gloves will be off as championships are on the line. For more information and to order tickets, go to virnow.com.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Now relax. Let the qi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
ESPN on ABC coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. VP Racing Fuels, our passion is making power.
So round 6 of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron in the books. What a fantastic GT battle, and Kelly is with our race winner.
No, normally it would be anticlimactic to win under caution, but Dominic Farnbacher, plenty of drama. What does it mean to get the first win for this program?
It's unbelievable. I mean, the first win for the Viper since the race for quite a while. I mean, it was a nail biter. I mean, I think we came into the finish line with the last drop of fuel, and I mean, if you look at all those faces, I mean, they're almost crying. Everybody's crying. I mean, it's so emotional for us, and I'm just speechless at the moment.
Congratulations, Dominic.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Lucas Luhr made it 5 in a row for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing. How rewarding is it, though, when it comes down to teamwork?
Yeah, it's very special today. It was a little bit chaos in the beginning, you know, with the weather. We haven't been really running here in the wet, and to be honest, I don't know when I did run the last time with the Muscle Milk car in the wet. So it was challenging in the beginning, but we made it through. You know, we were a little bit careful in the beginning because it's, you know, we don't need to risk unnecessary. But then as the race kept on going, we started really pushing, and it was good fun. But also a little bit sad that for a long time it's going to be the last rounds here with the LMP1 car.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
His win number 46, extending his lead as the most successful driver in American Le Mans Series history for Lucas Luhr, the 19th for Klaus Graf, and the 5th in a row this season. So just an amazing season for the Muscle Milk HPD team, based out in Benicia, California. They've also got a base in the Midwest, in Indianapolis, but it's been a great season for them so far, and certainly frustrating, I'm sure, not to have any more competition. But it's been a good race all the way around. Let's go back down again to the Victory Lane celebrations. and find out what is going on down there. It's been a tremendous race here all the way through, and we saw some tremendous battles, particularly in the PC class. There's not much to choose between those cars at the end. There's a great first win of the second win of the season for RSR Racing, and Bruno Junqueira and Duncan Endy finishing ahead of Kyle Marcelli and Chris Cumming. But battles all the way down the field, but there's no question that the GT battle was the headliner, I think, this weekend. And my hat's off particularly, I think, to Mark Goossens. He made his first start in the American Le Mans Series back in the year 2000. This is his 28th start, and he finally gets his first victory. And what a sensational win to get the first win for the return of Viper, having so much success in the past. Let's have a look at the GTC results. Nelson Canachet and Spencer Pumpelly. They came into the race co-leaders in the points with the number 22 car. Kelly Stavist is with those teams, and a great and yet another win for Flying Lizard Motorsports.
And appropriately, we saw Spencer Pumpelly battling with their co-leaders in the GTC class, the 22. What a day for you, Spencer.
Yeah, it was some hard racing out there for sure. I mean, GTC is so close and so tight. To have just a tick of an advantage and be able to come away with a win here is incredible. Nelson, once again, I say it every time, but does an awesome job at the beginning of this. Makes my life a whole lot easier. Of course, it's stressful watching him out there in the wet, but boy, did he bring it through. Flying Lizard guys did such a good job. I just can't say thanks enough.
And Nelson, talk about the start of this race, the conditions just constantly changing. How did you manage to keep up with it?
Yeah, just try to keep the car in track and keep the car in one piece. Car was great in the wet, always in the dry too. We decided to get the dry tires just in time and then get a good gap and give it the car in the lead to Spencer. So it was great.
Congratulations to you both.
Yeah, the second win of the season for this team, and they've added 3 second-place finishes as well. Bringing the guys from the other booth. Boy, what a season they've had at Flying Lizard Motorsports.
And they have, but the other thing, Jeremy, I mean, you see it with the points. With that victory, they're going to take sole possession of the Drivers' Championship in GT Challenge. This championship, the GTC class, is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's a consistency there for Flying Lizard Motorsports. They've had one relatively poor finish, but all the other times they've been pretty much on the podium. It's been a great season for that team, stepping into the GTC category for the first time this year, running for many years in GT. Let's have a look at the results in P2. The 551, Scott Tucker and Simon Pagenaud come away with the victory. Yet another win for Scott Tucker. He's had an enormous amount of success in these cars. This is his 23rd win, and Jamie Howe is down there.
Well, for Scott Tucker and Simon Pagenaud, it's another win, earning Scott Tucker those valuable championship points. But Simon, what was it like for you to be called in, knowing that you needed to win this race and get those valuable points?
Well, Scott called, and it was all about winning this race. So, of course, it's not easy when you come back, and I haven't driven those cars in a while, but the Level 5 team delivered such a good performance car that it was I mean, I just had to push, and it was really fast. So it was an awesome race. It was, I was able to be in clean air because of such a good strategy. And I gotta say, the boss drove such a good race that I had to raise my game. I gotta say, it was unbelievable on that first stint.
Yeah, Scott, you certainly have grown over the years as you've become more comfortable in these prototype cars, but now you're going for that P2 championship. You decided to only race one of your cars this weekend. How beneficial was that for you?
That's been our strategy for, and just this weekend, I thought I'd take a break and really focus on driving the one car, and we're trying to change up our strategy. The ESM guys are really strong, and they're really coming on. So we're changing things up and see how it goes, and fortunately we had that opportunity.
Today it worked. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it did what Scott Tucker needed in the points. It moved him forward. The spoiler in the whole deal, though, was still the 0-1 right there in between. And if it had gone back to green, Guy Cosmo, he would have been putting big-time pressure on Simon
That would have been so exciting to watch, but I do like to see Scott Tucker focus just on one car. You go back, flashback to Lime Rock where he almost passed out. That guy is an Iron Man going from one car to the other. He's basically putting in 2.5 hours driving.
Well, that's hard enough to do for a seasoned professional. He is a gentleman driver, and to do that and get the levels of concentration as well as the levels of fitness involved, then it's really important for him to be able to hold that consistency, and I think he's done a good job this year.
And let's have a look at the PC results this afternoon. Once again, the second win of the season for RSR Racing, Duncan Endy and Bruno Junqueira. Chris Cumming and Kyle Marcelli, a best result of the season so far for them for Bar 1 Motorsports. And let's go down once again to Victory Circle.
Some tight battles in Prototype Challenge, but Bruno Junqueira takes the checkered flag in this category. And after having a potential win robbed from you for mechanical issues at Mosport, how gratifying is it to bounce back with a victory here?
Very good. I mean, Road America is my favorite track in US, where I got my first win here in Champ Cars. I love this track, and to win again here is great.
And for you, Duncan Endy, what does it do for the team's morale to come back and make a statement here at Road America?
Well, it really, really hurt last time out up in Canada, and we carried that one with us until now. And so finally get what we needed, what we left on the table, just means everything, especially here. It's also my favorite track. Couldn't be happier.
All right, congratulations, guys.
When you think about the Prototype Challenge Championship, too, remember the 0-5, Colin Brown had to make that last late stop, and what that did was Michael Gouache finished in front of him. It's going to close things down in the championship and Prototype Challenge.
Well, and that team is winning in my mind because of Duncan Endy. There's a guy who's really stepped up his game compared to the guys he's on the track against.
Well, we've been checking the Green X Challenge, the Michelin Green X Challenge, all the way through the race, and Jeremy can bring us up to date with that.
Let's have a look at the results on the Michelin Green X Challenge. It's been a close battle all the way through. We've seen several different leaders in that category all the way through. We actually don't have the standings as they are right now, but it's certainly one of the, I think, intriguing aspects of this championship as we move through the season to see this clean, fast and efficiency of the cars in the American Le Mans Series.
Road America. Always have these close finishes. No, it's not the one we wanted today. It was a close finish because we were behind the safety car, but we had the same racing that we've always had here. And quite honestly, I think that the championships in 4 of the 5 classes still very much up for grabs, and so impressed with the level of competition.
You know, personally, whenever I come back here and I'm not driving, I'm angry. But you know what? I can leave here a little bit happy and warm and entertained because the level of competition that fans, John, in the American Le Mans Series are seeing this year, it's as good as any that there's been.
And a full weekend of racing with the Rolex Series as well and the Continental Tire Series. That's worked. The fans have come out. The future looks bright.
There was a historic weekend here.
And the next race will be the Grand Prix of Baltimore in 3 weeks' time. It will be catch it live here on ESPN3 and ALMS.com, and it'll be a delayed show the following day on ESPN. Hope you've enjoyed this race this afternoon. It's been a cracker all the way around. We've had action all the way from start to finish. Unfortunately, it did end on the yellow, but I still think it was a great day of racing. And I, for one, am looking forward to the next round at Baltimore in 3 weeks' time. My thanks to all the guys in the ABC booth, also to Kelly Stavas and Jamie Howe in the pit lane, and my co-commentator Greg Creamer. I'm Jeremy Shaw. Thanks for joining us.